Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Good morning and welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. It is Oscar season, it is playoff time, and it is Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-host, John Luke Garofalo and Coop A. Fiasco. Shades on, haters out. What's up, boys? Oh, the haters are in.
What up, dude? I'm rocking the Mr. Cools today because my Boston Bruins are the coolest team in hockey. Not sure if you boys have taken a little peek at the standings lately.
Cooler than the Capitals?
Only about a billion times cooler.
Oh,
Only about a billion times cooler.
correct.
Cooler than the Maple Leafs?
Only about a zillion times cooler than them.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, no, that's the math. That's the math right now. In fact, if you were to take the Bruins are on pace to have the best. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but they're on pace to have the best season a hockey team's ever had. That's what I'm talking about. How
You just jinxed it. You just did it
Okay.
right there. You
Not-
didn't want to, but you did.
not only are they in first place, but they're on pace for 66 wins. To put that in perspective, you take all the other teams, right? And you take, like, let's say the next best winning percentage after them is the Devils. If the Devils won every single game for the rest of the season, they would win 66 games. And that's what the Bruins are just on pace for, just with their regular win-loss record. Bruins are steamrolling. Last night, they steamrolled the rival Montreal Habs. So let's go. The big bad bees are in town. Baby, don't poke the bear.
When it's playoff time, let's do a playoff bracket over here. You guys down? Because I love the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
Every year I watch them and I'm like, I'm getting into hockey next year, and then I don't. But then the playoffs come around and I'm like, oh, I forgot how much I love this.
Playoff hockey is just a different beast. So I'm okay as a casual hockey fan that gets really into it. The playoffs, I have no problem with people not watching at all and then getting into it in the playoffs. It's like there's certain sports where that I feel like that's okay. Hockey, that's okay. It's
What
definitely
about
okay.
baseball? Because
Baseball.
I do it in baseball as well.
Baseball is okay.
There's so many games.
It's
Baseball.
totally okay.
Baseball, I feel like you have to take a peek at the standings around the All-Star break so that you can pull some random stat out and be like, since the All-Star break. That's a bit, as long as you got one since the All-Star break stat for baseball, you're allowed to jump on the bandwagon. Is that fair, JL?
That's totally fair.
You have to have one stat where you
No, at least one stat. Yeah.
Yeah, no one stat. So like people are like, oh, he pays attention.
So hockey, I'm allowed to go in blind. Baseball, I
watching
need
it.
to know one stat.
You gotta know one stat. One sport you're definitely allowed to go in blind. You're definitely allowed to cheer only one part of the year is college basketball.
College basketball. I
College
knew that's where you were
basketball,
going.
yeah. College basketball, you are allowed to literally know nothing until that play-in game before the tournament actually starts. And at that point, you have to know a little something. You know what I mean? But you're allowed to
You
know
have
nothing.
to know where like George Mason is.
Tommy-
You need to know random things like that.
Tommy knows the one thing. He said Gonzaga.
Dude,
That's all you got to know.
Tommy, you're in. You're in, buddy.
You passed the test.
Yeah, and not only are you allowed to know nothing until March, but you're also allowed to get way too invested in your bracket once you do just start clicking buttons on Yahoo or wherever you make it. So
I
And
can't wait to wreck you guys.
You're
in some
allowed
March
to
Madness.
know nothing and have the confidence like you've been watching every game from every team all year. You go in and you're 13-4 upset. You've never been more sure about South Dakota State in your entire life. Jackrabbits for life, baby.
yeah,
And you have to put your entire being behind it.
that's the best, dude. Because at that point they immediately just rank all the teams for you, so you're allowed to just be like, Jackrabbits definitely should have been higher than a 12 seed, bro. They should have at least been like an 8 seed. Like they just give you all the information right there, and then you got
Hashtag free Jackrabbits.
dude. The
Free the
seeding,
Jack.
the seeding plus Nate Silver is all you need.
Honestly,
Seeding and Nate Silver. Yeah.
That's it. And you're in. You're locked in. Did you guys
I
ever hear
love
about
reading the
that?
538 sports articles just because they're very here's the numbers. It's like the articles read as I don't like sports, I like math. But I love seeing articles that are like that. Like, I don't care. This could be any sport. I'm just telling you the
This
numbers.
could be traffic. This could be plumbing.
Exactly. Not even a sport. This could be traffic, but we're gonna break these numbers down together, guys. We got some people in the chat. Craig in here saying good morning. What's up, Craig? And NKC saying good morning as well. Good morning, NKC. Welcome in, my friend. We got Tommy in here with a rhyme for us bright and early. Said it's championship week with just 3 games to go. The season may be ending, but we still have the show. Coop, JL, and don't forget Simon. You guys give me a reason to keep on rhyming, so grab some coffee and wake up with the crew. I promise that you will be glad that you do. And I see Jolly Rancher down there. Good morning, Mom. Welcome in.
Not to bring it back to NCAA bracket, but did you guys ever see the that year that the librarian from Oregon beat everybody in the Yahoo bracket? Nobody had a fully completely right bracket, but she had the best bracket. She had the best bracket of anybody.
No.
It was like 2011, and she legit just picked based on the animals she liked, right? And the Yukon Huskies ended up winning the whole thing, but she also had like Butler, who was like an 8 seed in her Final Four, because I think they're like the Butler Bulldogs. Like, she literally just picked, her bracket was like all cats and dogs, and like, you know, there's like 5 teams named the Wildcats that made it to the Elite 8. Like, it was just like the most ridiculous bracket ever.
It was a good year for cats and dogs.
Right. And they asked her about it, and she was like, I beat them all. I'm the best. She didn't even say like, I just picked cats and dogs. She was like, I'm the best at this.
My girlfriend and I do one every single year, right? And we are going on the 5th year of that now. I have won 0 years. She has beaten me 4 years in a row in the brackets. And she picks based on a multitude of factors, none of which are basketball. Like, she will take the seeding into account. But then after that, it is school colors, school name, and school mascot, and school location. Like, oh, this is on the beach. They're probably really happy. They'll definitely beat the team from Minnesota, right? And they're throwing that in there. And then I've watched her pick like 15-2 and 16-1 upsets, like the UMBC over Virginia upset. She had that in her bracket because she had the Retrievers. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
you gonna beat the Cavaliers. Like, she had that.
I used to play basketball in their gym every night, or not every night, every Tuesday night.
Nice.
Every night.
Every night.
UMBC gym.
Yeah, my sister does that too, but she picks based on what schools she thinks sounds like they're good at basketball. So she'll take Duke and stuff. One year she was in the top like 400 after like 3 rounds, which is like insane, because she picked she's like, Harvard's good at basketball, right? And I'm like, no. But she's like, well, they sound like they're good.
Smart enough.
They know the geometry of those shots. They got it down pat. Guys, it is that time of morning. I'm sure we can talk some more college basketball at some point today, but I hope everyone listening brought something to eat, because it is time for Bring Your Own Breakfast. We got the news stories. We got the topics. You just got to bring something to eat bright and early this morning. Coop, you bring any breakfast this morning?
Yeah, I did. I brought some breakfast that I want to talk about with the Coach of the Year, because they did name the 2. I don't remember them doing NFC and AFC Coaches of the Year. Is that new?
I saw that the AFC was announced. I did not see that NFC was announced.
They announced both. Yeah, they announced both. The AFC Coach of the Year. Well, why don't you, if you didn't see it, then take a guess who you think it should be.
I saw the AFC one.
Yes,
as did I.
So the AFC one that you guys both saw was Doug Peterson.
NFC, Sean McVay. JK. NFC. It's got to be Dan Campbell.
It has to be Dable, right?
Dable.
Those are the 2 best guesses right there. But it was Brian Dable. It was Brian Dable.
I was scrolling through the teams and I was like, Dan Campbell was a great guess. That's where I was leaning until I saw the Giants, and I was like, the fact that they not only made the playoffs but won a playoff game with the roster they have has to be Dable.
It's crazy, yeah. And Dan Campbell himself, actually, they asked him about Coach of the Year, and he mentioned Brian Dable's name, which is interesting. But I don't know. I forget. I don't remember it being split, but yeah, they. I think those are two very good picks. Dan Campbell's definitely the conversation, but I think they got it right this year. I don't know if you guys think maybe anybody else should be in the mix. Doug Peterson, man, what a job he did, right?
Both of these coaches, I would have been the ones I would have picked out from each respective conference. Doug Peterson taking the absolute dumpster fire that Urban Meyer left him, and then coming down to a one-score game in Kansas City to advance to the conference championship. Like, yeah, that's a pretty good job from Doug Peterson, and getting his young quarterback back. Like, that's a franchise-changing level of change in Trevor Lawrence's play to be able to unlock him right like that, right? They get another bad coach in there that isn't good for Trevor Lawrence's development. It takes another year or two of bad play. They move on. Whereas if Doug Peterson unlocks him, you've got your franchise quarterback locked up.
Yeah.
Huge impact. And then Brian Dable, it speaks for itself what he did there in New York. You look at that roster, that is not a playoff roster. And they won a game in the playoffs.
Yeah. Giants fans have a lot to be happy about.
Yeah. When you're doing these Coach of the Year things, you have to always factor in how far they brought the team. And lucky for Doug Peterson, Urban Meyer took the team and dug the whole like underground, right? That like normal coaches that with normal teams, they could only bring the team up 100%, right? Whereas Doug Peterson had to bring his team up like 175% to get them back to undo the damage that was previously done.
Right.
The first 75% was just the anti-Urban Meyer cleanup, and then they were able to start adding onto it.
Exactly. Like you couldn't like Sean McDermott, his team started the race in 5th place. So if you come in, third place, not a good enough job. But this team started the race in dead last.
And then
on the outside lap in Mario Party.
And they got hit by lightning.
And
their controller died.
And they got hit by lightning again.
And the guy running the controller actually didn't come home to play Mario Kart with you. He stayed at the bar and assaulted college kids.
Oh, dear Lord.
He didn't take the plane home.
Yeah.
And they were playing.
Everyone was leaving the bar to go play Mario Kart, and he said, "No, I'm going to stay.
I'm going to stay and cheat on my wife."
Yeah, I'm going to stay and cheat on my wife. Sorry,
guys. Mario Kart's not for me tonight. I have an affair to have. Urban Meyer, get out of here. You
That's what they told him.
What a dweeb. And then the best part is that college football was like, yeah, put him back on TV immediately. That's our guy.
I see Craig in here saying Simon always telling us to bring breakfast, but him usually not having it seems suspicious. I think he's in the pocket of big breakfast.
What are you not telling us, Simon?
I'm telling you, if I was in the pocket of big breakfast, I would have breakfast.
Go on.
Go on.
You really think big breakfast would have an agent out here unwilling to eat breakfast?
I'm just saying, what do you think that the chairman of Winston is smoking a pack a day? I think he knows the problem with those puppies.
No, but I think the spokesman for Winston is smoking a pack a day, at least when in the public eye.
Who's Winston?
Cigarettes.
Churchill.
Yes. We're all on the same page.
Have you guys ever seen Winston Churchill's schedule? It's amazing.
I imagine it's not very full now.
Well, nowadays it's more of just kind of lying face up.
Face down. Bury me face down.
I saw his schedule, and it was like, bury me face down so she could kiss my ass.
I can fart to the sky.
His schedule was amazing. It was legit. Yeah. So
what do you mean his schedule? Like his Google Calendar?
They had a schedule of what he would do, and legit with every meal, like put it this way. The word whiskey was on the schedule at least 8 different times. It was like 7:30. He would have a full T-bone steak and eggs and 2 glasses of whiskey. 11 o'clock, he would get out of bed, walk around the garden, and pour himself a whiskey and soda. Like it's like the most ridiculous schedule of just being a beast. He's like, Churchill would then join guests for a multi-course lunch that featured whiskey and soda. Like it was just like whiskey and cigars starting at 7:30 a.m.
Did you copy my schedule?
Are you on the Churchill these days?
I'm on the Churchill these
You on the
days.
Churchill diet?
It's a
Off the
foundation
wagon
of
on
our
the Churchill.
company. Yeah, it is a foundation of our company is the Churchill.
The Churchill.
Which for me, I don't even like whiskey, so it's honestly kind of rough, but I'm trusting the process.
Evan Williams Green Label.
Sorry,
That's all we drink is Evan
That's the
Williams.
only
Green
thing we
Label.
$6 a handle.
7:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m. full British fry up breakfast, and he reportedly would remain in bed until 11 every day, just like reading reports. But
What do you guys think about the full English breakfast?
So I had
English muffin, English tea.
No,
naturally
it comes with beans, mushrooms, floppy bacon, blood sausage, eggs, and tomatoes.
So naturally, I had that every morning I was in London on my honeymoon.
With baked beans? Did you have the baked? That's the part that gets me is the freaking baked beans.
Baked beans is what gets
the baked beans is the best part. I'll send you guys a picture of one that I had.
Not the
I had
blood
two
top wieners.
blood
The
sausage.
blood sauce wieners. I'll just eat. That's fine.
The blood sausage would be so much better if you didn't call it that. If I didn't know, if you just were like, here's a sausage.
Tommy said the same thing. Why do they have to call it blood sausage?
Because it's made with blood.
Vomit.
But like
My problem called it love sausage.
My problem is that when you get that much diversity on a plate, you're bound to really not like some things. Like typically, if you have like 4 things on a plate, it goes from like things I really like to things I still like. When there's like 9 things on a plate, you're sorting through that, and you're like, okay,
who's picking what's on this plate?
It's usually pretty standard. Yeah, it's kind of standardly the same. Because I went to 2 different places, one much better than the other, and it was very similar on both. But the thing is, when you have 9 things on your plate, something has to be ranked 9th. You know what I mean? So like you're sitting there, and I'm like, all right, I'm about to eat a mushroom, my 9th favorite part of this breakfast. It just kind of loses its luster, right? Like I'm about to eat this tomato for some reason.
Also, Charles B in here saying Churchill is my idol, smothered and covered breakfast with a 5th. Morning, guys.
Whiskey.
Yeah.
Good morning,
Charles. That checks out based on your previous comments in here. It makes sense. And Craig said you should have a tapestry of classic JL faces that you sell in your store. With more good JL faces coming out during that segment. Like
Smothered
beans for breakfast.
Smothered and covered. That's a little bit of Waffle House talk right there, if I've ever seen it, right?
That is some Waffle House right there.
Yeah, I just texted you guys a picture of this breakfast, dude, and it has.
I don't have your number.
Oh yeah, I blocked you, but Simon, you could see it.
Albert and said, "Good morning, everyone." Good morning, Albert.
Stupid idiot texted you. 1 second. Oh, that's exactly what I expected, Coop. It's like the images that I googled. There's tomatoes, there's toast, there's eggs, there's sausage, there's beans, but your beans are in a cup.
Beans are in a cup. The tomato was actually surprisingly not the worst part of it. Enjoyed it. It was grilled.
What was the worst part of it?
Worst part of it was the very large mushroom.
Just a giant mushroom.
Too big. Too big.
I saw an article yesterday, guys, from Jeremy Fowler at ESPN, and he had asked different NFL executives and owners some predictions for 2023. And there were a couple interesting ones that stood out. One of them that stood out to me was the Chiefs head coach Andy Reid could step away, says an AFC scout. So this came from an AFC scout. It's a completely unsubstantiated rumor that just came whenever ESPN reporter Jeremy Fowler asked different NFL coaches and executives some things that they thought might happen in 2023. But that was one of the answers they were given, which I hadn't heard anything about that previously.
What was the answer?
Chiefs head coach Andy Reid could step away, says an AFC scout.
What do you think, Andy? So Andy Reid steps away. He has mostly adult children, so it's not like he's gonna spend, go do family stuff. So
mostly adult, like one of them.
Well, I mean,
that one pesky kid won't grow up.
I mean, that's
Peter.
That's unfortunately. That's kind of true. One of his kids is, I'm pretty sure, going to jail for DUI. But
that was that guy.
Yeah, but what do you think Andy Reid's hobbies are? Like, if he were to step away, what do you think he would spend his days doing? Because obviously,
people's faces.
Spike TV still around?
Fear Factor.
competing in it or just watching it? What
Both.
Yeah,
I think he sits at home and just watches Fear Factor reruns and tries to recreate the challenges to the best of his ability, but without leaving his house. So like you see him like jumping from like couch to couch to like grab socks that he hung off of like the chandelier in the middle of the living room. Whenever they're eating like really gross things, he goes outside and just like finds a praying mantis and he's like, "You can do this."
Finds a
He just
bug.
bites the head off.
Oh, poor mantis.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
I think that's what he does in his spare time. Is there enough? So all the Fear Factor reruns should give him at least one season off probably, but then he's coming back. Do you guys think there's anything to this, or do you think this is maybe wishful thinking from a different AFC scout?
It could be something to it. He's been the coach of the Chiefs for a long time. I would be surprised just because of the team that he's built there for him to walk away. But you know, he's an older gentleman. I can see
How
it.
old is he?
64. So that's the thing for me is that like with rumors like this, there's no reason to say it. There's no reason to say it if there's not at least partially true or somewhere got their wires crossed. So I truly believe that someone heard this from somebody, you know what I mean? Because if somebody just decided like, oh, maybe Belichick retires. Well, okay, Belichick's like 80 something years old. And same with Pete Carroll. Like if somebody just wanted to start that rumor, then sure. Like I could see you just be like, okay, who's the oldest coach? I'm going to start this rumor. And if it works out, then I'll be the guy that said it first. But with a coach like Andy Reid at 64, I don't know. Like, I don't see what's the benefit of making up that. So I do think that that's probably something that he mentioned to somebody at some point and kind of floated around there, right? There's no reason to make it up.
Yeah, I'm with you. Doesn't mean it's going to happen though. But that article, there were some other interesting ones in there, like Derek Carr to Houston as a potential landing spot. I feel like we haven't talked about him to Houston quite as much. And in my mind, it doesn't make a ton of sense with what Houston needs right now. But that would be interesting. It would be my probably lesser preferred destination for Derek Carr. And Tommy said brother was there. Yeah. The David Carr bobbleheads we found this weekend were all Houston Texans bobbleheads.
David Carr, man, he had a rough set over there.
Yeah, they didn't do him any favors, did they?
In my mind, I've kind of just like melded David Carr and Matt Schaub into one person. I just threw a bunch of picks.
David Schaub.
David Schaub, not good. David Schaub picked.
Jail hates David Carr. Can't stand the man.
Walked off the set. He heard.
We won't talk about David Carr anymore, JL. Okay.
Don't do it. All right. I told you guys don't do that.
Okay. Change the topic. It's fine.
It's in his contract.
It's okay. Sorry, that was my bad.
I'm all mad.
That was my bad. What do you want to talk about instead, JL? Instead of David Carr?
Do you want to go back to talking about breakfast again, like English breakfast, blood sausage?
Yeah, bloodshot wieners. Yeah, I want to talk about breakfast. That's all I want to talk about.
What do you have for breakfast?
You guys ask me this every day, and it's always the same answer.
It's a
Nature
Valley and a cup of juice. Today I have a cup of this liquid that's supposed to make you not sick if you drink enough of it. So
is that like immune emergency?
It's like vitamin C. Tastes like trash. Tastes like bad Gatorade. But I am sick, so I'm going to drink this.
That's what that emergency powder is always so misleading. It's like bright orange, and you dump it in. You're like, oh, this is going to be delicious. Then you take a sip, and it's like, this tastes a little bit like Pine Sol.
I'm not sick anymore, guys.
Congratulations!
Hooray!
So Jay said, did someone say David Carr? Nope, we did not. JL, don't worry. No one said David Carr.
Nobody said that. Jay.
Shh. X-nay on the RK. So in other news, the Packers now have come out and said they won't be trading Aaron Rodgers within the NFC conference, but they're potentially open to trading him in the AFC. For that news to be out, means he's on the block, boys. If they're not trading him anywhere in the NFC, not just within the division, but within the entire conference, what are some potential AFC landing spots where for a guy like Aaron Rodgers at his age, he's only going to want to. He has a no trade clause. He's only going to want to go somewhere where he can compete for a Super Bowl right away. Obviously, he doesn't want to be part of some rebuild. So teams like the Texans are out, but like, where do you think he might end up? What would be a good spot for him?
Raiders.
There was a report about the Jets. The Jets owner, Woody Johnson, who is saying that he will happily pay that 2 first-round pick price that the Packers came out and hinted at this week is what they would be looking for.
Oh, Keith, are you on board with that? Producer Keith, notorious Jets fan.
And Aaron Rodgers' lover boy.
Notorious playboy.
Lava.
Keith's background is a picture of Aaron Rodgers' bulge.
He don't like it. Don't want him. Okay, that's fair. Woody Johnson wants him.
You're gonna get him, and you're gonna like him.
Well, you're at least gonna get him, and that being maybe gonna get him.
Yeah, if he wants to.
No, and Keith's saying especially for 2 first-rounders. I get it. That is a lot to give up, and we've seen multiple picks be given up for a crazy good quarterback recently in Russell Wilson and not have that work out so well. So I get it. I do think Aaron Rodgers would be great with the Jets. Like, I think he'd go over there and he would be phenomenal. An upgrade from every single quarterback on your roster, like 5-fold. But I understand 2 firsts is a lot to give up for an older quarterback. Yeah. Unless you think that's the missing piece. Their defense, pretty good. Know what I mean? If Aaron Rodgers is the piece that pushes them through to winning a Super Bowl, if that's what they believe, then it makes sense.
Their defense is awesome, dude. You mentioned the Raiders. The Raiders, pretty obvious landing spot with Devontae Adams there. Tommy mentioning the Ravens. If Lamar Jackson isn't coming back, how would you feel about that, JL?
No.
That'd be so funny to watch you go from the most likable quarterback in the NFL to maybe the least likable quarterback in the NFL. At least top 3 for each in their respective categories.
Aaron Rodgers in a system built for Lamar Jackson would be hilarious.
He has to do all the design runs, like 130 design runs, like end rounds.
Can only throw like 15 times a game.
Yeah, that'd be sick, dude.
Disgusting.
I don't know if he'd really appreciate the weapons, though. I mean, Rashad Bateman to the moon in fantasy football if that were to happen.
True. Yeah. He would shoot up.
What if
that would be kind of funny for Aaron Rodgers to go to another team that doesn't really have any wide receivers? Like his biggest problem there is they just don't give him weapons, and he shows up to the Ravens and he's like, "Hey, can't wait to meet the wide receiver room," and just Rashad Bateman shows up like, "Hey,
shoot,
I was injured all last year, but I got that draft capital."
He signs with the Patriots, but some other team signs Jacoby Myers away for like $20 million. So he's throwing to like Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar is a free agent too. He's like, technically the wide receivers at this very moment are Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne.
Oh hell yeah,
studs.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers also had a quote about being potentially traded. Did you guys see this?
No, what did he say?
Yes, I did.
He said, "To be open to the possibility that if I want to keep playing, it might be somewhere else. I understand that. I understand they might want to move on and go younger at a number of different positions. There's been a lot of fun dreaming about retiring as a Packer because there's something really special about that. But if the competitive hole still needs to be satiated and it's time to move on, I hope everybody would look at that with a lot of gratitude."
Satiated?
Satiated. Yeah, sorry, I said that wrong.
All right.
What a weird way to wrap that sentence up. If the competitive hole still needs to be satiated.
That's how you entire career like a sacrifice to a demigod.
You have a weird way with words, Mr. Rodgers.
You say words weird.
If my competitive demon is not yet satiated, I shall continue to play for another organization until he is fed.
Yeah. Pretty sure he's like slowly morphing into Hunter S. Thompson, right? He's just like melted his brain with desert drugs, and which is kind of cool. I think that's a good journey for him.
It's kind of cool.
Natural art.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, you know. I mean, like if he retires in football, if he just becomes like the chill Aaron Rodgers and like he doesn't have the criticism of football. I could see myself eventually doing a 180 on Rodgers. You know what I mean? He could be the next like Joe Rogan type of like weird podcast shaman.
He's got to do a 180 first.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
before I do my 180, Aaron Rodgers has some 180s to do.
if it wasn't for the football though, it's like he does just kind of talk like we're all made of the same stuff as stars, bro.
But then he also says things like,
Is he quoting Neil
"You're
deGrasse
wrong and
Tyson?
I'm right. Check my sources." You know what I mean? It's the lack of willingness to admit when you're wrong that bothers me about a person. If he could say shit's made of stars, but then whenever someone says, "Hey, look at this," or you can say eating clay is good for you, and then someone says, "Hey, look at this," and you should be like, "Oh, cool." Not like, "Oh, not according to my doctors, not according to my underground shamans."
Well,
like, it just feels like whenever someone is so willing to believe that clay is good for you and not everybody's eating it, that shows an arrogance or a thinking less of other people around you, right? Like, you're so smart that you know to eat clay, but everyone around you so stupid they can't see the truth.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't say he was going to be like the attorney general, dude. I said he's going to be. I said he's going to be Joe. I said he's going to be Joe Rogan. You know what
Joe
I mean?
Rogan was the bar he set.
Yeah, I said, like Joe Rogan's like selling ivermectin. You know what I mean? Like,
Certainly
that's
the bar.
yeah. Like I think I set the bar appropriately. You know,
I was talking about my 180 for him.
If he does the
doing
full
180,
yeah,
I'm not doing that 180.
I didn't say he was going to be like Sam Harris. You know what I mean? Like, he's if he doesn't do a full 180, if he does like a 110, then he could be Joe Rogan.
Like a 90.
Yeah, like a 9. Yeah, just like a
niner.
A little quick
And that's
niner.
just the Niners just talking about football less. That's it. It's just
not having the football stress. Yeah.
Did you guys see what he said on Zach Wilson on Pat McAfee show?
no.
He commented on Zach Wilson. What did he say?
Aaron Rodgers commented on Zach Wilson on the Pat McAfee show. He said, "I think he's talented enough to have a long career in the league." I feel like Aaron Rodgers is just like textbook contrarian.
Right. He just went out. Right before that, he was like, "What is everybody saying?"
Yeah,
right, I'll say the rest.
Say the opposite.
Say no more. Perfect.
Just be like, you know what, guys? The taunting penalty is not that bad.
Though there was the report earlier in the week, also on the Pat McAfee show, whenever they had, who was it? Was it Ian Rappaport that they had on, or was I can't remember who it was.
They do have him on.
They have him all the time, yeah.
Talking about it, and he said that Aaron Rodgers, like the report they heard was that Aaron Rodgers called Zach Wilson on a off-season morning at like 6 a.m. And that was the story from the clip, that Zach Wilson was already in the practice facility during the offseason at 6 a.m. with no one else there. And Aaron Rodgers was like, "Go home." So I think like there is some sort of like connection between the two, Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson.
Interesting. Yeah.
Craig said, "Drugs are bad, Aaron."
Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron. And Dustin said, "My dudes, good morning."
Good morning, my dude.
Yeah.
Did you guys see this news story yesterday about Travis Etienne looking to add muscle in 2023? I love how people's New Year's resolutions are news now.
Right. That's just typical. But I mean, I will give it to him. There are certain guys that when they got drafted in Dynasty, we looked at them because like there are certain bars that folks in the Dynasty community need players to clear to like them. One of the more well-known ones is the 200-pound. Some people say 205, some people say 210, but there's a bar for running backs where they say if you're under 200 pounds, you run into durability issues, right? Guys like Raheem Mostert, for instance. Austin Eckler, when he was drafted, under 200 pounds. Same with Christian McCaffrey. And both those guys said the same thing. We're gonna hit the gym, I'm gonna get yoked, and then I'm gonna be ready to go. And both those guys, if you look at pictures of them, definitely did that. And they definitely weigh more than 200 pounds now. So guys like
201.
James Cook, 201. Now I'm ready to play. Seriously, though, in the Dynasty community, they look at that. Like the day before they even take the field at the combine, when they're just doing like the weigh-ins, they're just like, "Oh, done. Throw him away. He's dead." Like 199 pounds, he's dead. He's done. So, but you look at Eckler, he definitely weighs more than 200 pounds now. So with certain guys,
that dude is yoked.
400-pound running back.
Yeah, he looks like a Ninja Turtle, dude.
Ninja Turtle.
He does, dude. So guys like Guys like Travis Etienne, guys like James Cook.
What's that mean?
Look at him, dude. I mean,
You're not wrong. You're not wrong is the thing. Like, I don't fully get it, but like,
Yeah.
he is kind of built like a ninja
He
turtle.
is Billy Turtle. Like the
He's
front.
got a
and then
shell.
His traps
Is
look
this a
like
bald
shit.
thing?
His
Oh,
traps
I
are
see
so
what it is.
big. The bald thing. The bald is definitely part of it too. But like the traps in the back, they look like the shell. Like he does.
This
look
is
like
this is a
Ninja
bald
Turtle.
thing.
Yeah.
If I was on my hair, people are gonna say I look like a ninja turtle.
You gotta
Honestly,
get yoked.
could be worse comparisons that they throw at you.
You gotta get big.
I'm
Now-
dying, man.
Now,
This is so accurate.
Austin Eckler looks like a Ninja Turtle.
yeah. Which dude, I mean, when you're he would take that as a compliment. He's big. He's a strong fellow.
Michelangelo, Leonardo, Austin Eckler.
Eckler, dude. Yeah, but the thing with Travis Etienne, he already has the size. He's 215. So if he's like gonna be, if he can get to like 220 of muscle or 225,
221?
and keep his speed, bro, that's where Saquon lives, right?
Saquon.
That's where the big dogs eat. That's
Eddie
big,
and
dog,
you're saying
that's
when
big
the
dog
smaller-
eat down.
Eddie and you're saying when the smaller frame guys get jacked, it always leads to more injuries.
Not a crazy point, Eddie. Not a crazy point. It's a difficult balance. You need a good trainer to make sure that you're balanced in that. But you're right.
They get too confident.
Well, sometimes you just a lot more weight if your ligaments, if you're not built to be carrying around that much weight. You know what I mean?
Oh man, that reminds me of a story my 8th grade social studies teacher told us about his friend who was a bodybuilder, and he started taking steroids.
Mhm.
And he was at a competition, and he was like
already upset.
lifting
I'm-
like a massive amount of weight. I
I'm
don't
gonna have to
remember
take
what the
my
number was.
earpods out. This is gonna.
And he fell and folded on himself, like broke his legs, broke both of his femurs, and like folded down on himself because his and the point of the moral of the story from my teacher was like steroids, push your body beyond what it's built for, to the point that stuff like that happens. Like, it doesn't matter how much steroids you keep taking,
Yeah.
your body's not built to carry that much weight. So
Did
Exactly.
you
I
guys
think
see the story recently of there was a fitness influencer who, like, his entire shtick was no steroids, just
Yes.
clean. Like, every
what's his
video
name?
he talked, I can't remember his name. I'm gonna find it.
I know
But-
exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, but it was like, but when
Liver
you look at him, the Liver King or something like that.
the
It's like-
Liver King. Yes. The Liver
and he has like pecs out to here, but his whole thing in every video he talks about, you don't need steroids. And then it got released that he's taking like $12,000 worth of steroids every single month.
Yeah.
Like not like a few. Like every month he's pumping himself with 12 grand full of steroids.
Pretty sure that guy's
Exposed.
whole thing is not just that he eats healthy; it's that he eats raw liver. Right?
Yes, he eats
Yeah.
raw liver, and then he.
Yeah, I
tries
think
to
you're
sell
burying
those
the
supplement
lead a
pills.
little bit on that one, dude. I've seen this guy literally just take a bite out of a hunk of a giant animal's liver.
His claim is that liver and like the liver supplements that he sells is what does it, not the $12,000 worth of steroids that he's taking every single month. It's
Bonk.
just liver. Bonk, you've been bonkified.
I understand the idea behind the like bodybuilders at the very highest end, and it is very impressive. But at the same time, some of those guys, I'm not quite sure if they actually do look good. You know what I mean?
I think there's something called body dysmorphia that I think probably doesn't get talked about in the bodybuilding community enough, where people look at it and go like, what, these guys, they think they look so strong. Now there's probably an element where no matter how strong they get, there's some sort of, they're not seeing what they want to see in the mirror. It can always be bigger. It can always be better. You push
always
yourself
be
to
skinnier.
it. Exactly. People always think of body dysmorphia in terms of like looking in the mirror and feeling like you look bigger than you are, but it can be the opposite. It can work the other way as well.
This Liver King guy looks like he's wearing like a bad Batman suit. He looked like one from like whenever Batman was first invented in like the 1940s, and they're like, well, let's make a movie. Yeah, and then they make like a plastic fake muscle suit. Like that's what that guy looks like.
All liver, no steroids.
I mean, he is pretty jacked. The vein in his left arm might be bigger than my arms.
It's all
Just-
artificial, baby.
Just the vein.
Just
The
that
vein
one
itself.
vein in his arm is bigger than my
The
arm.
girth.
It's a large vein.
Did you guys see I think it was Colin Cowherd yesterday was talking about a report by talking about the Broncos picking their head coach, saying that they really want Sean Payton. Apparently, Russell Wilson has already told the Broncos owners he wants Sean Payton. And quote, this is from Sean Payton? I think the deal would be done today if Sean Payton said, "All right, I'm your coach," and he may. So no, that's from one of them on that show. But it's kind of crazy. What do you guys think about Sean Payton in Denver?
Better than Nathaniel Hackett. I'm Russell Wilson's moving up my draft board a little bit if Sean Payton's there.
He's a good coach, man. There's no question about it. I like made a joke like a week or so ago where I was like, yeah, dude calls one onside kick at a Super Bowl. Now he's the man. No, there's a reason that like Drew Brees on his own, we saw what he looked like in San Diego, and then he came to the Saints, and that's where their powers combined, right? I don't think Tom Brady's Tom Brady without Bill Belichick. I don't think that Joe Montana is Joe Montana without Bill Walsh, right? It's like when you get that player and the right coaches, that's when you get these like super mega stars, right? So if Sean Payton can go to that team and get together with Russell Wilson and get on the same page, I think they could turn it around pretty quickly. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean,
Tony Pollard.
Dan Campbell pretty much credits, he credits Sean Payton for giving him the opportunity and basically teaching him how to be a head coach. Like that's how he got. I think he started he went to work with Bill Parcells and the Dolphins, and then it didn't work out there. And Sean Payton basically was like, "Hey, why don't you come here and I'll teach you everything I know, and then we'll go from there." And that's when his career really took off, and that's how he got to the level he's at. So that's if you like Dan Campbell, that's a Sean Payton coaching tree coach.
Yeah, but you don't have to like all coaches that ever worked with Sean Payton. Like Greg Williams, I'm fine. Never thinking about Greg Williams again.
Greg Williams also set up kind of an illegal injury bounty scheme. So
yeah,
Bounty Gate.
Greg Williams is a psycho outside of that.
Oh yeah, I just read a story about him yesterday talking about the 99 Jaguars, who the only team they lost to 14-2 was the Tennessee Titans. And after the second loss of the Titans, it's supposedly Greg Williams ran over to someone from the Jaguar staff or players and screamed at the top of his lungs, "You know why you lost? I have your effing playbook. I have the whole effing thing," and just started screaming at him. So not only was he stupid enough to steal an entire team's playbook in their division, he then went over and after beating them twice in a season, bragged about it, told them, like ran over there and like angrily just screamed at them at the top of his lungs that he's had their playbook, the whole offensive playbook.
Psycho, dude.
Psychopath.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's crazier, Greg Williams or Charles Haley. I don't know if you've heard of the Charles Haley stories. He was a coach for the Chiefs for a good amount of time. The Charles Haley stories are so inappropriate that they're not. You can't really even talk about them on this show. But why don't you just
look them up?
Why don't you just type Charles Haley naked into your Google machine and look at some of the stories?
Joe, we cannot hear you, just so you know. I don't know how long you've been trying to say something.
I don't think. Yeah, all I was saying was no, thank you, Coop.
Yeah, there's a Reddit post that breaks down, there's a article on Complex called "Charles Haley, the Last Naked Warrior." So yeah, check out some Charles Haley stories because apparently
I'll look that up.
He had no problem walking out, hogs out, and up.
There we go, buddy.
Hogs out, hogs up. Well, if it isn't Sean Payton, another coach that has been rumored to be linked to this Broncos job is the Dallas defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, who's also interviewing with Cardinals. So it seems the Cardinals, Colts, and Broncos are the main favorite points here for Dan Quinn.
And Dan Quinn's been a name that's come up multiple times in past years, right? And now this year we're talking about him pretty seriously. Seems like he'll probably land one of these head coach gigs.
Hey, maybe you can get another franchise to the Super Bowl just to lose it all.
Oopsies. Yeah. If they won that game, he'd probably still be coaching the Falcons, right?
Yeah. How long was he the coach of the Falcons? Wow.
For a couple
5 years.
Couple times.
5 years, yeah. Couple times. Couple go rounds.
I was literally going to say the same thing, JL. Just based on Simon was working his way there. couple go arounds, couple times
go-rounds.
around. Yeah, I mean,
Around the block a time or two, Mr. Quinn.
I don't like him as much for the Colts. If he does go to the Broncos, so that's the difference between Sean Payton and Dan Quinn. Is Dan Quinn's a defensive-minded coach, right? Fairly confident. So, did I make that up? No, he is.
No, he is.
So, like, it depends what you want to see as a Broncos fan, in my opinion. And sometimes it can be as simple as that. Do you want to see a team where Sean Payton comes in and he is a very offensive-minded coach, and it's his, and he's very well respected, and Russell Wilson would probably fall in line, and maybe it's not so much Russ cooking, but Russ is doing
sous chefing.
Exactly. Russ is doing like what's that delivery service thing where it like shows up at your house and
Uber Eats.
No, where you still cook it, but it's all the ingredients are
Blue Apron.
Yeah,
Hello Fresh.
Exactly. It's like Russ Blue Apron, where Sean Payton is preparing it and he just has to cook it. Versus if they bring in a defensive-minded coach and Dan Quinn is setting up the defense, you got to imagine now Russell Wilson is like
he's heading to the grocery store to pick the ingredients up himself.
He cooking. He's doing the cooking. So I don't know. I think I personally would prefer Sean Payton, but maybe
I would as well.
If you're willing to accept the notion that Nathaniel Hackett deserves all the blame and Russell Wilson is still the man, then maybe if you're in that camp, you want Russ to be able to do his cooking, and you want them to bring in a defensive-minded coach and let him kind of have some more reins, right?
I don't think he has the leadership to really thrive in that type of situation. Personally, I think he needs more of a support network and more of a strong head coach to help lead that team like he had in Seattle.
Yeah. If he could just ungoof a little bit, just like don't be so freaking goofy, be genuine for like 3 moments. I think he'd be a much better leader because I like Russell Wilson a lot, but I can see getting real sick of that corniness.
Yeah, the way you described that made me imagine like Russell Wilson's there and he's doing his like corny stuff, and the players are like looking at Russ, but then they like look over Russ, they kind of like peek over Russ's shoulder at Pete Carroll, and he's just like, and everyone's like
yeah.
He just
and Russ is like,
all the players look at Pete and they're just Pete and they're like, what the hell is this? And Pete's just like, come on, guys, like
I'm gonna perform my 16-bar rap for you guys. Let me know what you think.
He's like, now.
Yeah.
And then Pete puts his arm around Russ. He's like, oh man, you really knocked him dead there, buddy.
Yeah. Oh wow. Everybody give a hand for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
He uses his full name every time.
He needed that coach.
Russell Franklin Wilson. What's his middle name?
Let's go take a nap, Russ. Yeah. And then
go grab your blanket.
And then Pete steps in there and he's like, thank you guys for patronizing that. Now let's go over what we're actually going to do this week.
Now let's get to business.
I like how your impression included way too much bubble gum in your mouth, which is exactly Pete Carroll.
For future reference, Russell Wilson's middle name is Carrington. He is Russell Carrington Wilson.
I'm sorry,
interesting.
Potentially Carrington. I did not look up the pronunciation of his middle name. And Craig said you still have to know how to cook with a blue apron. Yeah, I think that's the point Coop was making. Like, it's still Russ having a say in there. He's still going to have to put the ingredients together. Sean Payton's just picking the meal out. Russ still has to cook it.
Russell Carrington Wilson III, Esquire.
As I saw, the referee crew for the Super Bowl was announced, and it got not the best reaction from a specific fan base because Carl Cheffers was announced as the head referee for the Super Bowl. And for those of you unfamiliar with Carl Cheffers, he has made quite a name for himself amongst Chiefs fans over the past couple seasons. Ever since, I believe it was Travis Kelce told him that he wasn't even good enough to work at a Foot Locker or something along those lines. And it's felt like since...
Is it because the referee?
It's because of the referee uniforms. Yeah.
Okay.
Said he wasn't good enough to work at a Foot Locker. But since then, it could be just a smaller sample size, but there's statistical evidence that he calls more penalties against the Chiefs than most other teams. Also, the games he's refereed have a statistically significant difference in the number of underdogs that win and or cover the spread. So it seems like he's known for throwing flags against the favorites more often, which could explain the Chiefs bias. The Chiefs are usually favorites when they play, right? So it may not be Chiefs bias. It could just be favorites bias. Maybe they're related, but people are upset about him being the head referee here because the Chiefs, while they're usually like this past season, 6th least penalized team in the league during the averaging like a little over 5 penalties a game in the 2 Cheffers games that they called for the Chiefs, over 10 penalties a game in both of those from a team that wasn't doing that the rest of the year.
Well, Cheffers does mathematically throw the most flags. Like,
yeah,
we know that to be true.
God, in the Super Bowl, why would they do that? Why would they take the referee that throws the most flags?
He's actually done a Super Bowl in recent years.
The Chiefs Super Bowl.
The Chiefs Bucks, yeah. So I don't know, man.
That game kind of sucked.
It was ticky tacky.
I don't remember it having to do with the refs. I just remember that game sucked. I think it had more to do with the Chiefs offensive line.
Yeah, I think, dude.
Also, you know what else is funny about that game? Not only was Cheffers a referee that people are sure is like biased against the favorite was in that game, but one of the other referees in that game has a child that was named after Tom Brady, and they were referee in a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay with Tom Brady playing for another Super Bowl. Like, I guess you don't take him out of there, but you're going to tell me there's not a little bit of bias when you're in the home stadium of your favorite player of all time that you named your child after?
I don't think that I'll give him a little more credit than that. I think he's able to separate.
This was a woman. This one.
He or she is able to separate, admiration for a player and doing your job, right? And the other thing that I always bring up about this is the referees are graded after every game, so it really is not good for them to there's no incentive for them to even in smaller situations favor one side or the other because everything gets reviewed and determined whether it's right or not.
That being said, Cheffers does, like Coop said, throw the most flags in the league. He just does. That's statistically more than any other player, and it got him a spot in the Super Bowl.
But they might be good flags. They might be correct flags. Maybe everyone else isn't throwing enough.
Man, I'm just saying I hate whenever the refs are the star of the show. Like whenever the refs take center stage in determining the outcome of a game, and it feels like Cheffers is one of the guys who likes to be a part of the story.
I would definitely be doing that if I was a ref, especially if it was a call in favor of the home team. I'd be like, pass interference on the defense. Let's go. You know what I mean? And like the crowd would be like, yeah, right. And then like I would ease it in there if it was the other way. I'd be like, guys, pass interference. It's on the offense this time, but hear me out. He did it.
He did it.
And then the crowd would be like, all right. Yeah, he did it. Yeah. I'd really be pandering to the crowd. First down, yeah. Well, let's go.
I can't hear you.
I can't hear you. They look at
running across the field.
They look at my stats. They're like, that's weird. When Andrew Cooper refs a game, it looks like the home team here wins 95% of the time. The home team has never lost a coin toss when he referees a game. That seems odd.
You just drop the coin. You don't flip it. You just pick the side and then you just drop it.
Like some like magnetic coin. I flip it and it just goes like onto the ground. Right? Oh, hey, there you go. I'm like leaning over the guy. Leaning over. I'm like heads.
It's always heads.
The way the away team calls it though, so it'd be tough to rig it.
I heard you. You just said it's always heads.
Did you tell Tom Brady was heads?
No.
Who the hell is Tom Brady? I don't know what you're talking about.
I would also.
That's you. Oh, nice to meet you.
I would also have smoke bombs for that instance. I'd be like,
what? But it's just not a very good smoke bomb.
Yeah, I go to.
It's just a little bit of smoke, and then
I just scream it away like hide in the blue tent, like
right there in the blue tent. We see you.
We see you in the tent. Yeah.
Could head referee please make the way to the middle of the field? We are attempting to start the game.
Over the loudspeaker, we see you in the tent.
Stop playing games.
I go to throw a flag during the game and actually throw a smoke bomb.
Smoke bomb. We got Scott Fish in here. What's up, Scott? He said the ref crew last week was notorious for low-scoring games and favoring Bills. Well, it was low-scoring by one team, and it wasn't the team they usually favor. And he said, so sometimes the staff means things, and other times it just is what it is. Though he followed that up with, I do hate flags. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. I understand Chiefs fans being upset here, but all of that could be explained away by, like, he throws a lot of flags, whatever. He doesn't actually hate the Chiefs.
Stop cheating.
Throwing the most flags out of every single referee, like, that tells me if I like a game with fewer flags, I don't want him to be the referee. So that's where I'm annoyed. It makes the games longer. It adds more commercial breaks. It takes away from the flow of the game. Momentum becomes less of a driving factor whenever there's more flags.
Yeah. So based on what Scott Fish said last week, the Bengals beat the Bills, they beat the refs, and they beat Tony Romo all in the same game.
It's incredible.
Wow, what a performance!
Tony Romo, they gotta have him stop calling Bills games.
They
just
really
no
do.
more Bills games for Tony Romo, because I love him whenever he covers any other team.
Why?
But when he covers the Bills, he's just like licking Josh Allen's abs the entire time, like instead of actually announcing. Instead of trying to predict plays, he's just talking about how great Josh Allen is. He's so good.
Mr.
Like,
Mr. January. Like, nobody calls him that, dude.
Mr. January. What the heck does that even mean?
It's like in baseball, Mr. October. That's what they called the guy that played for the Yankees. Now I forget his name, but he just killed in the playoffs. So they called him Mr. October, and he's trying to do that for Josh Allen in Reggie Jackson. That's what it is, Tommy. Thank you. Reggie Jackson was Mr. October, and he's trying to make that into Josh Allen's thing, Mr. January football. Nobody's
Mr.
buying.
January just keeps losing over and over and over again.
Didn't make it February.
Nah.
There you go. Jay conveniently behind, only a couple seconds behind today, but Jay comes in. Reggie Jackson. Thank you, Jay.
Got it.
Got him. Let's go.
Apparently, on the Tony Romo stuff, I did see a report this week talking about, or an article talking about how people are sick of Tony Romo.
Really?
Yeah, apparently exactly what you guys are talking about. Him, the platitudes, a lot of what they're saying is that he's moving away from a lot of the thoughtful analysis that he had early on, which was why people loved him. And then of course the Josh Allen love they mentioned, and they're saying even like you can tell even Jim Nantz is getting annoyed by it. His broadcasting partner.
The same thing kind of happened with John Gruden, where like Gruden came out, directly from coaching, and he had a lot of knowledge, insight. He was really connected to the game, and the farther he got away from the game, the more he leaned into, just being. It became before it was insightful enthusiasm, and then it became just enthusiasm. So I think Romo needs to maybe take a step back and really work a little harder at his research. Like say what you will about Chris Collinsworth, but the guy went out, bought Pro Football Focus. Like he clearly loves the game, and he always, whether he's writing it himself or he has people themselves writing it, he brings that insight. Jail, did you not know that Chris Collinsworth owns Pro Football Focus?
No, I knew that.
Yeah. So he comes out, he does his homework. So I think if Romo just got back in there, maybe focused a little bit more on the game, he'd bring those insights back.
Just buy a company, Tony. Buy a company about the NFL.
Should be fine.
Yeah. Preferably about the NFL, but it doesn't have to be. And then you'll be as serious and committed.
Buy BlackBerry.
If Tony Romo if Tony Romo wanted to buy in on Front Yard Fantasy, would you guys let him in?
Absolutely.
As long as he considered BlackBerry first. I think that's a great fit for him.
Yeah, you'd say, okay, hey, you can buy in on Front Yard Fantasy, but you got to buy BlackBerry first.
Yeah.
We're
just
sister
a BlackBerry.
companies. We're sister companies. I love Tony Romo.
I like it too.
As an announcer, I really do. I'm not sick of him yet. It's just when he's talking about Josh Allen that I get a little sick of him. I do think maybe, Jail, as you were talking, it made me think, do you think there's a chance that the network asked him to be less analytical or less football focused during it because it doesn't appeal to the broader audience? Like it's as possible. A neutral football fan, as someone who doesn't watch football often, because it does seem odd the change to go away from that, because that was his bread and butter last year. That was what he did every single game. He was calling plays ahead of time. He was breaking things down a little bit deeper. and that's why we loved him. But I could see like a major network. He's what, on CBS, right?
Yep.
I could see them like that's one of the big cable networks that's supposed to appeal to the masses, not to just a small subset, telling him, hey, tone it back on the football talk, tone it back on the predictions.
Yeah, it's very possible. It is very possible.
Maybe they're unthrottled Tony Romo. Let Romo cook. Let Romo roast.
Hashtag free Romo.
Could be it, dude. I mean, I mentioned before on the show that happened in NASCAR with Jeff Gordon. Like he came straight out of the game,
Who?
straight from Jeff Gordon. He drove like the multicolored laundry car for a bit there.
Oh, laundry car.
He's a laundry car guy. That's how most people know him. But when he was in the booth, he was just getting a little too mechanical with it. So they had to be like, "Hey, Jeff, not everybody's been under the hood of a car. So how about you just talk about how they're going around the track and they got to try to be first." And then he eased back into it. But
yeah, and Tommy said Melvin Gordon's brother. Yeah, Jail, it is Melvin Gordon's brother, the NASCAR driver, Jeff Gordon.
Yes.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Makes way more sense now.
Also, Tommy wanted to know if you guys could sit across from one current NFL player in an interview and ask one question, who and what would it be?
Aaron Rodgers, and I would ask, why?
They have to answer the question.
Yeah, I'm setting that rule. They have to answer the question.
I would sit across from Tom Brady just because it'd be cool to hang out with Tom Brady. And I'm asking him why Malcolm Butler was benched in the Super Bowl against the Eagles.
You just want to know.
I want to know because then I get to hang out with my idol, and he has to tell us why he was benched because we still don't know. Malcolm Butler was awesome that year. He won the Super Bowl against the Seahawks, and he played one snap on special teams. I think there was something in his contract where he got paid if he played one snap. They put him in for one. All year he wasn't even on kickoff or kick return, and they put him in for one kickoff just to give him one snap in the game. They wouldn't even let him play one snap on defense. Something happened there, and I want to know what it is. That's the question I want to answer.
Coop's breaking down the mystery, and what I'm doing is I'm asking Christian Wilkins, can you put me in a baby Bjorn and take me to the mall
and feed me from a small ladle?
Baby Bjorn.
A baby Bjorn, and take me to the wall, Mr. Wilkins, and you must be dressed as a Power Ranger while we do so.
And I too will be dressed as a Power Ranger.
I'll be a baby Power Ranger.
Baby Bjorn, Power
Baby Ranger.
Fights crime from his baby Bjorn.
Baby Bjorn is a baby Ranger.
Jay said, I'd ask Tom Brady how it felt to lose to the Giants in 2007.
He probably doesn't even remember. He's like won a bunch of Super Bowls since then.
Good one, Jay.
He's won like 4 Super Bowls since then.
You sure roasted him.
Sure, use your one question wisely.
Can you imagine a random Giants fan? Like they get one question to ask any NFL player. They sit down at Tom Brady, just looking at him like, yeah, it sucked to lose that one.
All right, see you later.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. I didn't really like that.
I hope you enjoyed that question right there.
What do you got, Cheo?
Peyton Manning, how did you feel the night you were robbed of the Heisman? You guys bringing up the worst moments in these players' lives.
Yeah, Peyton Manning also, he had some incidents in college that I think are unbecoming of a Heisman Trophy winner. Did he not?
I do not remember. I didn't pay attention to Peyton Manning in college.
He
wasn't born.
He was at Tennessee. Charles P., I know you're a Tennessee fan. I don't want to bring that up, but he had a bit of an incident with one of the training staff there. You guys can look it up. It's not really
We'll look it up.
It's not fun talk for a fun show. Jail, who would you pick and what would you ask him?
Who would I pick and what would I ask him? I would probably pick Lamar Jackson. And I would ask him why.
You already asked Aaron Rodgers why.
It's going to be a whole series.
That'd be interesting. If you could pick a third.
Yeah, and I'm going to start a follow-up series, Jail, called How? And my first guest is going to be Hunter Renfrow. How?
Jail,
Excuse me, I just have one question.
If you could pick a third person and ask them any question, what would it be?
It would be Sammy Watkins. And I'd ask him, tell me all your secrets.
Dude, that would be a long answer.
I'm rereading that article today.
Based on what I know about Sammy Watkins, you better have brought like a Gatorade and a snack because that is going to be a long conversation.
Maybe I'll just ask him if I can have that beer now. that he promised me in college.
Free beer with Sammy Watkins.
Free beer with Sammy
Honestly, that goes down like everyone who was at Clemson in that time. That's like a forever.
You remember
memory.
that?
It's just
Yeah.
cemented in your head.
You remember that story, Coop?
Yeah, where
He's a student government. He
Yeah.
emailed the student body, free beer with Sammy Watkins.
and literally every person said yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they got like record engagement on that email. Immediately followed up with an apology email.
All of a sudden, they're like, whoa, why do we have a 98% open rate on this email? Usually we get 1%.
Dude, we had an email like that in college where it went out to every single person in school and every single alumni, but the person forgot to like hit the button that like locks the replies to it so anyone can reply to it. And one person replied and was like, when is this meeting? And it went to every single person that's ever gone to Bentley University. And the moment that email came through, my roommate turned to us and goes, hey, you can say anything on this email. And he turns around, and he types in all capital letters, I am the man with the golden dick, and sent it to every single person in our entire school, dude. And then from that point on, the floodgates were open. Everyone was just sending like memes. Like, dude, my inbox was like, I had to like Google how do you mute like a email thread because I had like hundreds of emails. But sure thing. By the end of the day, my buddy had one email in his inbox that was, hey, we want to see you. We want to see you down at the head.
Oh no!
Yeah, we got to talk.
Like, how'd you know it was me?
Like, you can tell through your pants, dude. It's glowing everywhere you walk.
His own email address, AJ Belandry. I am the man with the golden dick.
Signed a crime.
Oh my god, it was the best, dude. The look in his face of anyone can respond to this email goes to everyone.
You just saw the dots connecting.
I was like, oh,
Anyone.
here we go. Dude.
Anyone.
There's
I
some
can do
people
it.
waiting for an opportunity. They're not sure for what, but at all times they're just looking for that
You're
opportunity.
like, this is it.
Here we go. This is the moment we've been waiting for.
The first email, the first email is from some innocent girl. What time does this start? And the second one,
Right.
and the second one is from my buddy.
She had no idea what she did.
She had no idea what she
I
had.
am the man with the golden phallus.
Literally.
Behold my sparkling wings.
Okay, it doesn't answer my question,
Dude,
but
and
good to know.
And one of the email lists was alumni. So I don't know how far back that goes, but
How
that was
deep
going
this
through
goes.
adults. Yeah, that was going to grown adults, dude. Like, yeah, so good, bro.
Charles in here said, ask Pete Carroll why throwing the ball on the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl.
Oof.
I can tell you the answer to that. Math.
Yeah,
Math says that was a good move, actually.
yeah.
You got to detach outcome from process here.
I like there is an explanation for sure. I still like the conspiracy theory that they wanted Russell Wilson to be the MVP instead of Marshawn Lynch. That conspiracy theory was floating around. But you're right. Mathematically, with that amount of time left, and it's the odds of somebody picking that pass off are so low.
They're low. Yeah, it's a bad outcome, but you can't grade decision making just based off the outcome.
And Tommy said, when you have the beast, all math goes out the window. No, the beast is included in the math. Even like the beast is part of that math equation.
That's how we got the math originally, was guys like the beast.
Could have just run it.
Thanks, Beast. We really appreciate all the work you've done laying down the foundation for the football math that we do to this day. Guys, coming up, we're going to talk about some free agents and a bracket that we're doing for free agents in Dynasty. After that, we're going to play some fantasy detective. And then we've got a game called Here's the Pitch, where we're going to pitch our ideas to you about some inventions, some potential movies, TV shows, whatever we want to pitch to the group. And then we're going to talk trade values a little bit later today as well, using Peaked in High School, a.k.a. the Trade Daddy himself's trade value charts. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy with Simon, JL, and Coop.
Sell me on doing away with the 2-conference system in the NFL.
Is it really a sale whenever this is something that's commonly agreed upon? I'm selling you on water being wet. I'm selling you on something that is objectively true right here. We look at teams at the end of the season and we go, how the hell does one team have such an easy schedule while another team is just absolutely getting obliterated. And that's because of the 2-conference system, because the division system feeds into this conference system. It's a symptom of the greater problem. Like these divisional matchups, you're telling me it's fair that the Buccaneers are in the playoffs after playing the Panthers twice, the Falcons twice, and the Saints twice this year? That is unbelievable. There are multiple more deserving teams every single year that, because of this system where we silo them into random groups, it determines the order. And yes, originally this was geography based, right? We had these divisions, they were geography. It's 2023, my dudes. Geography doesn't matter whenever it comes to the size of the United States. These teams can travel anywhere. They don't need to geographically locate them in divisions or conferences to make the games make more sense. If USC can be in the Big Ten, why the hell can't Miami play San Francisco every year? It can happen. They've got more money than these colleges and they're not taking classes. All it does is create an ecosystem where less talented teams can get rewarded for playing in weaker divisions and more talented teams are punished for continuing to improve.
Damn, bro.
Drop the mic.
I like to picture some geography teacher out there just threw a pen on the ground. He was like,
How dare you?
he smacked the globe. He was like, what do you
all
mean?
the hard work we've done.
2023 geography doesn't matter, right? Smacks his
You know
globe.
how long it took for us to get respect?
Globe goes spinning around, right? Geography doesn't matter. How dare
I'm
you?
just imagining they ripped on the world map and underneath is Algebra 2. Like they just go straight into being a math teacher.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Paper straws. Oh, they're so bad. Ray, I mean, I'm almost tempted to say screw Mother Earth. Give me a real straw. The paper straw thing is a step too far in saving the planet for me.
It's a great idea. The problem is it has to last. Like it can't go mushy halfway through my drink.
That's
And
the
I think
problem.
That's the problem. They have a hard time standing up if you don't drink that.
100%.
drink.
That's my issue, Ray. I'm all for taking care of the only planet we got. But Ray, some people like to drive a lot. I don't. I don't get on them for they have to drive 20 minutes to work every day. Can I just get a plastic straw? Like, I think, Ray, we should be able to pay for a card that says, I don't drive every day, so they said I could have this kind of environmental impact by getting a plastic straw. I am in favor, Ray, of government-issued plastic straws if I have the proof that I'm worthy of such. If you want it, you get it. It's kind of like the Clear Pass. You know,
Yeah,
at the
there you go.
airport.
Okay.
Like, Ray, I'd be willing to pay an extra $2 a year, and I get as many plastic straws as I want when I go out to the restaurant.
And the $2 goes toward cleaning the oceans or something. So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. That's not a terrible idea. Not terrible.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
Oi! What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show
Hey.
here on the Better Sports Network. And I got a solution
Meow.
for our friend Kyle that was just playing in that ad. He's got a problem with paper straws, wants to be able to pay for plastic straws. Reusable. Right here. Solves everything. You can carry one with you. They got collapsible ones. Then you got a reusable straw at all times. You don't have to worry about that paper mess. And you don't have to pay the $2 and worry about the plastic ending up in the ocean either.
An invention,
Reusable straws.
dude. We should do inventions on this show at some point.
We should. It's a great idea.
Maybe one day we will, guys. Maybe one day we'll do inventions. But right
Probably
now,
not.
it's not right now, but we'll see. Maybe
Probably
one
some of
day.
those-
It's not right
The
now.
problem with some of those straws, especially the metal ones, is that like I wouldn't say I'm like a clean freak, but I do enjoy things to be clean, especially when I'm using them to consume food products. So I have a difficult time with those straws, like making sure they're clean. I put them in the dishwasher and I assume they're clean, but like
But you
I don't
think
know.
about it.
I think
Think
about,
about it.
I don't like
yeah,
it.
I'm with you.
I don't like it, dude. Especially
I don't
like
like
if,
thinking about it.
and if you like say like you make like a smoothie and you like put it in the sink, or you accidentally do what my wife did and put it like she took a smoothie and put it next to all like the soap bottles and stuff, and it kind of just blended in with those for like a week, and then it was all like moldy. And I'm
Is
looking
your
at this-
wife my girlfriend? She does that with her with like her coffee mugs
Can
or
you
with her
imagine?
smoothies or juices.
Yeah.
Chelsea,
Just
can you
like-
imagine? Your wife is my girlfriend. You're like, yeah, weird. She disappears around 6 p.m. every day and then shows up back around 7 a.m. I'm not sure. where
Said she's going
goes.
rock climbing. I don't know.
She did sign. I needed her to sign some paperwork for the solar the other day, and she accidentally wrote Leanne. So I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, but so she did that, and then I was like, you have to make a decision on whether that you can keep that straw or not at that point. I mean, the straw that Simon is drinking out of right now could be full of gross stuff.
Oh, I clean it all the time. Run that thing through the dishwasher. But Coop, I get what you're saying, because like the water bottles with the built-in like squishy biteable straw at the top, I will not use that little squishy biteable straw. That thing is full of mold. I know it. Because how the hell do you get in there? Like this one, I can see straight through it. Know what I mean? I can look from top to bottom all the way through it. No problem. That little squishy straw in the water bottle is just disgusting all the time.
Yeah, I definitely worry, but those are the ones that are the most worrisome. But it's good for the environment, so you got to deal with it.
Also, I've seen all these videos recently making fun of like the water bottle crowd that like gets obsessed with the newest trend in water bottles, and I've been laughing like, haha, some people buy every new water bottle. And then yesterday I was emptying the dishwasher and I was going through and I was like, these are all the ones I've been seeing all these videos about. Every single one of them. When did all of these water bottles enter my home? My girlfriend's a water bottle person. She buys every new water bottle. She loves a new water bottle.
Sometimes you can't resist.
Everybody's got their thing.
Well, guys, we're about to get into a game here. A game that we call brackets. The bracket that we're talking about today is free agents in Dynasty. So these are NFL free agents, and we're going to talk about their Dynasty value, determine which one we like the best in Dynasty fantasy football. Before we get into that, everyone, I want to remind you, though, that right now we are sponsored by our friends over at Lucra. Lucra is an app that you can download and make some bets with your friends about the games that you're already playing or watching together. You got a cornhole game, throw it on Lucra. Put a little bit of cash on it. You got a football game you're watching together this weekend, throw some cash on it if you think different sides are going to win. Download the app now using the link right below here or at bettersports.com and use the code BSN to get $10 free on Lucra. You guys ready to get into this bracket?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the names we have on this bracket today, guys, as far as free agents in Dynasty, we have Dalton Schultz, Mike Gesicki, Nelson Aguilar, Sterling Shepard, DJ Chark, Evan Ingram, Kareem Hunt, and Rashad Penny. So these are the names we're going to be looking at. Some of the higher end names left off of here because Juju Smith-Schuster would probably be preferred over every single one of these guys. Maybe. I know, Coop, yesterday you talked about maybe some DJ Chark love, but we'll see how this bracket works out today. We got our first matchup, and Coop, we're going to start with you. Dalton Schultz versus Mike Gesicki. Which one do you prefer?
So we're talking about just in Dynasty in general, have to pick one or the other, and we don't know the landing spot at all, right?
Exactly.
So in this particular case, I personally, this is tough because they're two different types of tight ends. Dalton Schultz is a two-way tight end. He's a good blocker and pretty good pass catcher, whereas Mike Gesicki is more of a pure pass-catching tight end. That's the problem he ran into this year. Mike McDaniel came over. He wanted to replicate his 49ers offense, which means you need a two-way tight end that can both block and run routes like George Kittle. So he ended up using Durham Smythe. Even though he's not as good of a pass catcher as Mike Gesicki, the blocking is the most important part. So I do think Mike Gesicki is going to have a bounce back. I think that he, he's going to, he's a guy where if whoever's going to sign him is not going to sign him to block. So I'm actually going to take Mike Gesicki here over Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz, there's a very real risk that Dalton Schultz ends up being the next Austin Hooper, where a team sees his production in one offense, signs him to a big contract, and then it turns out that it wasn't really because Austin Hooper is awesome. It's because the Falcons' offense was good for tight ends. So I'm a little worried about that with Dalton Schultz. He doesn't do a lot of the things to create for himself. It's more of the offense. So I'm actually going to take Mike Gesicki here, as crazy as that sounds.
One vote from Mike Gesicki from Coop here. And this one's tough for me, but Coop, I think I am going to go Dalton Schultz here instead of Mike Gesicki. Whenever I look at Mike Gesicki, I don't trust that he's going to be put into a situation wherever he signs that he's the clear one, even at the tight end position on his team, wherever he's brought in. I think he could be a complimentary piece. This is a dude that I've watched catch the ball and fall down 1,000 times, just over and over and over and over and over again. He's fine. Dalton Schultz has a higher upside in my mind, just based on what I've seen him do after the catch in Dallas. So I'm going to take Dalton Schultz here. I just don't see what the upside is with Mike Gesicki. But Dustin in the chat agreeing with you, Coop. Down, you're saying my free agent article comes out Friday. I'm all aboard the Gesicki train. So they're with you on that one. And we got an off season ahead of us. So maybe we have some more conversations about Mr. Gesicki. Maybe you can convince me eventually. But as of right now, I'm out.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And, the thing is with Gesicki, it's more to me. Now, let me ask you guys how you want to play this. Do you want to factor in acquisition cost in Dynasty? Because it's a lot easier to trade for Mike Gesicki than it is Dalton Schultz. Or do we just want to do just flat out?
Just in a vacuum.
In a vacuum, okay.
Which player do you prefer? JL, it's tied 1-1 right now. Which way are you voting here?
I'm going to go with my good friend, Coopathy here. Mike Gesicki.
Right.
I completely agree with the points that he brought up. Dalton Schultz does feel like he's been helped a lot by this Cowboys offense and opportunity. Like this Cowboys offense has needed Dalton Schultz in most recent situations. He's been a helpful fill-in, that complement to CeeDee Lamb at times while Michael Gallup has been injured. Ultimately, I haven't seen anything that's been it's blown my mind with Dalton Schultz. I think you could easily replace him with another equally talented tight end and we'll do fine. We'll do fine in that situation. So I think Mike Gesicki is talented, and I think the situation has been keeping him down. He hasn't really been in a system that is conducive for him. So I'll go with Gesicki.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about this bracket is that if we were just looking at this from an NFL standpoint and not from a fantasy football standpoint, I would pick Dalton Schultz. I think he's got a more balanced skill set, but that's not necessarily good for fantasy football. We want the guy that's lining up at wide receiver in the slot running routes versus a guy that might be asked to stay in and block on some pass plays. So it's kind of funny if this were just, from a pure NFL standpoint, I would pick Dalton Schultz. But from a fantasy football standpoint, whoever signs Mike Gesicki is not signing him to block. He's being signed to catch passes. That's the guy I want.
Well, Mike Gesicki is going to move on to the next round, which means we are moving on to our next matchup here. Nelson Aguilar versus DJ Chark. Dale, did we have that one in the chat? Is that what you were about to say?
This one is in the chat, which I was about to say and bring up is that go ahead and vote. I'm going to throw these polls in the chat, in the FYF YouTube chat, so that you can vote on which player you think should advance here in this bracket.
Also, while you're voting in the chat, smash that like button, you dinguses. I'm looking over here, dude. We got a bunch of people chatting up. Dude, only 5 likes on the video. I'm one of them. What the heck is going on over there? Smash that button up. Let's go. Let's go, dude. And also vote in the poll.
Coop just went full on big brain math. Like, if there's so many people watching but only 5 likes, something's not adding up here.
I did the same thing last night on you when I was watching. I had to step away, but I was watching the beginning of your show on the
our fantasy football game show.
The game show, yeah. And I'm like, what the heck's going on here, dude? I see Scamp in here. I see Craig in here, dude. I'm like, where are all the likes at, dog? Don't you guys like the show? What the heck is going on?
Where's all the likes at?
JL is going a little JL had some good puzzles yesterday. It was Fantasy Fortune, and one of the puzzles was a coach-player mashup. Did you see this one, Coop?
No. So I had a call to take. So I was in there for the first 15 minutes or so that I had to jump.
The coach-player combo that JL went with was Sean. You would think if they were going to do Sean Payton combined with a player, maybe you would do Sean Payton Manning, right? No. JL did Sean Paytoni Pollard.
Was that it?
That was it. That was the one that
he
wrote that puzzle, and we had to figure it out. Sean Paytoni Pollard.
Did you guys figure it out?
I got it. At first,
eventually got it.
I imagine you needed some letters, dude.
Well, yes. I figured it out with only an N and T up there, but I was like, no way. There's no way that he actually did that. And then as more letters got revealed, I was like, oh my God, he actually did it.
That's smart. That's smart thinking.
He did it.
By golly, he did Sean Paytoni Pollard. Well, guys, here's our next matchup. Nelson Aguilar versus DJ Chark, and I've got the first vote here. And Coop, all the points you made about DJ Chark yesterday, being a big-bodied guy out there, he was relevant for the Lions this year. Like, a real piece. I didn't expect him to be fantasy relevant. This is a guy, especially with the way this class is shaping up, I think is going to be one of the top 3 players signed from a money perspective. And in Dynasty, it doesn't hurt to follow that money. See what players got paid, because usually there's a reason they got that kind of money. Just look at Christian Kirk from last year, $21 million. They brought him over there for a reason. I'm going to go DJ Chark. JL, you've got the next vote. Where are you rolling?
I'm going to go with also DJ Chark. I haven't been a DJ Chark truther by any means. and maybe this will come out later in the bracket, but I don't think Nelson Aguilar is enticing by any means. So DJ Shark over Nelson Aguilar in Dynasty for me.
I know, dude, you saying that you haven't been a DJ Shark truther is an understatement because I know you don't like DJ Shark. I appreciate you voting for him here. I'm a DJ Shark guy. I'm a fan. I think he's a prototypical split end in this league, which is much more valuable in real life than it is in fantasy football. The size, the ability to beat the jam, all important stuff. Then you look at Nelson Aguilar and what the Patriots brought him in to do, which was, potentially be a field stretcher on the outside. Paid him more. He paid him like $22 million, so like $11 million a year, and he didn't live up to that. He couldn't, to the point where they had to go and draft Tyquan Thornton, which is a guy with a very similar skill set. Like he couldn't get more targets than Jacoby Myers, man. Like a 7th round pick, not big, not fast, but he, it's like he couldn't beat those guys out. They had to go out to get Devontae Parker. Like he was a failure in that last spot. So I don't know why now that he's like going to be 30 years old, I would want him. Give me the 26-year-old DJ Chark on the outside. And yes, I did switch this bracket up behind the scenes because DJ Chark was going to have to go against Evan Ingram. So possession arrow, you guys weigh on that one. I know what you were doing, JL. I respect it.
You know what, Coop? You plan the show from now on.
I know. I'm sorry, but I had to lean in and kind of
and lean out,
and then lean out. All right. So DJ Chark is going to move on then, I imagine.
DJ Chark unanimously moving on to the next round, which means we got our next matchup: Sterling Shepard versus Evan Ingram. JL, you've got the first vote here. Which way are you rolling here? Are you going to vote for Evan Ingram, or due to Coop's attempted coup at running this bracket, are you going to spitefully vote Evan Ingram out?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it now. This could have been a really good conversation.
I actually really like Sterling. I actually really like Sterling Shepard, to be honest.
Well, I'm going to go with Evan Ingram. I think he's the better player in Dynasty. I don't think Sterling Shepard's Dynasty value is going to get a boost anytime soon. I think it's relatively static where it is. We've seen enough of Sterling Shepard. Maybe the situation continues to improve in New York. The New York Giants offense improves, and Sterling Shepard is a main part of that. Dable seems like the type of coach that would promote someone like Sterling Shepard. He's already come out and talked just past week talking about how they want to promote from within. That they're not going to lean on free agency to go get their star wide receiver. That's not, the team isn't made by, it's not one player away ever. And so I think he could build around Sterling Shepard. I think there's a case to be made for Sterling Shepard here, but I'm going to go Evan Ingram because I think after the season he had, he's going to hopefully get a good opportunity either in Jacksonville or somewhere else.
Alan here said Shep is 100. I'm not sure if he's talking about, like, is he saying he's old, or is he saying like he's got it locked in, like he's keeping it 100, like he's a good player? Let us know how.
I think he means
old as hell.
100 years old. Yeah, he's a hungy. Now,
Coop, where's your vote going? We got one for Evan Ingram, but JL giving some props to Sterling Shepard.
Well, I'll give some props to Sterling Shep as well, dude.
Old half is what Hal says.
Oh, that's not. I'll give some props to Sterling Shepard as well, the Shapster. In 2020, he finished the year with last 3 games, 7 targets, 12 targets, 10 targets. And in those last 2 games with the 12 and 10 targets, 9 catches for 77 and a touchdown, 8 catches for 112 and a touchdown. That's how he finished 2020, right? 2021, right? The very next year, he comes around, starts the season with 9 targets in the first game, 10 targets in the next game. Then he gets banged up. He comes back in week 6, 14 targets, right? So the 3 games that he played, and he was playing 93% of the snaps, 95% of the snaps, 91% of the snaps in those 3 games, 9, 10, and 14 targets. He just couldn't stay healthy. Battled injury all year. They actually asked him to take a pay cut, which he did, to stay with the team. He comes back, first game, scores a touchdown. Next game, 10 targets. Next game, 10 targets. What happens? Gets hurt again. Injured, season-ending injury. Ends up, missing the rest of the year. Unfortunate, man. Unfortunate because he's a good slot guy that can gobble up targets. The thing for me is that Evan Ingram. Don't say gobble. Sorry, dude. He's just slurping up targets left and right, dude.
Thank you. That's fair.
So he's a guy. JL don't like that one. All right. So no gobble, no slurp. But the thing is, I think Evan Ingram can be a similar type player, and this is from a fantasy football perspective, so that tight end eligibility changes everything. Just the ability to, just the fact that I can start one guy at tight end and the other I have to use a wide receiver spot makes Evan Ingram more valuable to me. So I'll take the floor of Ingram if he goes back to Jacksonville, with the ceiling of him going to a new team in free agency to be a focal point of that offense. Give me Evan Ingram. Thank you.
And I'm going to just echo what you guys said. It's Evan Ingram for me as well. He was already moving on, but I like the position he's in currently. And I've said I wouldn't mind if he stays in Jacksonville. It's a little bit more of a known, but Coop, you're right. The upside is a little bit higher if maybe he ends up elsewhere where he could be more of a focal point of that offense, or a guaranteed focal point, because he could still be a focal point even if he doesn't leave there. We had a question from Tyson come in here. Wanted to know, does the signing of Bill O'Brien ruin any chances at D-Hop coming to the Pats? If so, is there any wide receiver that they will go after? OBJ maybe? Coop, you think this ruins the chances of D-Hop to the Pats? And if so, are there other receivers you're looking at?
I think it does. I think, yeah, D-Hop, I mean, well, actually, I don't know, man. It could, maybe the issues Hopkins had were, it's so funny because you look at the teams that are in the running and it's like the Patriots and the Browns. You'll find out if D-Hop had the problem with Bill O'Brien, or if he had the problem with Deshaun Watson, or if he had the problem with Bob McNair, and maybe he still likes both those guys. So maybe it isn't a possibility, but
dead.
Yeah, is he? Did Bob McNair die?
I think his son is a franchise, or his children, not his son.
Oh, maybe it's his problem with them. Oh yeah, he did die. His problem with the McNair family is maybe what he had. So.
It was with Bob McNair for sure, at least part of it, because there's the whole inmates running the asylum comment and all that. It was around the time Hop
definitely didn't like that, but yeah, I mean, like it probably makes it difficult, bringing in Bill O'Brien. So unfortunate, because we know that Bill Belichick and DeAndre Hopkins are like good buddies, and then I see Tyson says, does Bill O'Brien help any Patriots in fantasy football? Stevenson, Myers. Here's the thing with that. Is that if Jacoby Myers does come back, he's a free agent. It would be wheels up for Jacoby Myers. These are the targets that Wes Welker got. Well, Bill O'Brien was with the Patriots from 2007 to 2011. Here are the targets that Wes Welker got: 145, 149, 162 targets. He had 123 catches on 162 targets in 2009. 2010, 100. And that was in 14 games, 162 targets in 14 games, 123 targets. Then he had 173 targets in 2011 when Bill O'Brien was the offensive coordinator. So Jacoby Myers is there. It's wheels up for him. For Ramondre Stevenson, the question is whether they go back to the two-back system. If they bring in another back, like a James White type guy or whoever else, then it's not going to work. For Stevenson, it's going to be half a role. If they don't, then it's wheels up for him too.
Wheels up. Now, you make a great point about Jacoby Myers and the role he could play in that Bill O'Brien offense. Could be exciting. Could definitely be exciting. Guys, we're going to move on to our last first-round matchup here. And Coop, it's back to you for the first pick. We got two running backs here, Kareem Hunt versus Rashad Penny. Which one's your preferred free agent in Dynasty?
So for me, I got to go with the unbridled upside that comes with Rashad Penny. Like, we've seen injuries, the only thing that have really held him back. We've seen the explosiveness to the point where they didn't pick up his fifth-year option. Then they came back after he went crazy at the end of 2021, and they brought him back. He looked good. He's just been hurt. With Kareem Hunt, he's now 27 years old. His attitude has not been great. He's pretty far separated from that year he had with the Chiefs where he led the league in rushing. So I got to go Penny, but I could see arguments for Hunt too. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I see the arguments for Kareem Hunt, and he's been good for the Browns as well. Know what I mean? There were, like, we talk about him being separated from that year with the Chiefs. Well, he's only a couple years separated from a top 12 season at the running back position whenever the Browns had two top 12 running backs in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So not only do I think there can be an argument made for Kareem Hunt, I'm making that argument. I've seen him in the backfield with another top 12 back put up top 12 numbers. I know he's capable of doing it when given the workload, and I think he could end up on a team that gives him a solid chunk of the work. So I'll roll with Kareem Hunt here. Dustin does not agree at all. Says Hunt is done. Todd Gurley will have more fantasy points than Hunt next year. I'd rather have the guy who has ever finished the season. Oh, and this is coming from Hal saying, I'd rather have the guy who has ever finished the season. Give me Hunt. So Hal's on the side with me. Dustin's on the side with Coop over there. JL, we can't hear you, but which side are you on?
JL, I'll say this while JL's muted. Great job putting these two together in this bracket. because when you get the chat going like that, you know it's a good matchup.
Nice try trying to get on my good side, Goop. I appreciate the effort.
You did a great job putting Chark versus Ingram. So you did such a great job. I had to go in there and
change it for your own
covertly
benefit.
change it.
Kareem Hunt or Rashad Penny. Honestly, I see both sides of this conversation. Both sides of this debate, I think, are valid. Rashad Penny is the ultimate troll. He's the ultimate rug pull artist. It's hard to trust him. But he put up some decent numbers during that stretch where he was playing. And then he got hurt again. So like I don't have any sort of consistent level of trust with Rashad Penny. It's just like was mentioned, I think, by Coop. Just the unbridled upside that comes with Rashad Penny is really the appeal. Kareem Hunt, I think, is very good. I think he's a very good football player, and I think he continues to get disrespected. Him not finishing as a top 12 running back has more to do with the situation he's in and the fact that it's committee and he's the number 2. But as far as running back 2s go on a team, he's one of the best. He's one of the best, and he's fantasy relevant almost every single season. So I'd be interested to see where he lands. I'll go with Kareem Hunt.
Yeah,
and I think I don't mind that, and I'll tell you why. Let's say hypothetically, both players go to the Dolphins. The Dolphins have no one under contract right now, not a single running back. Let's say they sign both Penny and Hunt. Who would you want in fantasy football?
Hunt,
because it catches passes. So
because it catches passes.
Even though I picked Penny for the upside and the hypothetical upside of just Penny going to the Dolphins, I'm with you guys. I respect the Hunt pick. So let's move Hunt along.
I respect the Hunt. Guys, we're going to move into our first semifinal matchup, Mike Gesicki versus DJ Chark, and I've got the first vote in this one. I didn't vote for Mike Gesicki in the first round, and I'm not voting for him in this round. It's going to be the wide receiver for me, DJ Chark. I think he can carve out a role on most teams that he would sign with there. We saw this year just the value he added for the Detroit Lions. Potentially could end up back there. I saw a report, Dan Campbell said he really wants DJ Chark to end up back in Detroit. So would love to see that, but even on another team, this dude could be great. So I'm going to vote for DJ Chark. John Luke, you've got the next vote here. Where are you rolling?
DJ Chark is replaceable. He's extremely replaceable, and this is where this position isn't going to help him a ton. He is a what's the opposite of a victim?
He's a perpetrator,
an abuser.
He's a perpetrator of opportunity. The Lions had quite literally no one to throw to outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown for most of the season. So I think DJ Chark, what we've seen throughout his career is these flashes where he's been in a situation where he can have more opportunity and he's good enough to make things happen with that opportunity. Not consistently enough, not quite enough to really, I think, carve out a significant role. I'd see him, his career trajectory going in a similar path to maybe it's the guy that he just beat in the first round, Nelson Aguilar. I see DJ Chark very much that type of player where he'll pop up, he'll be fantasy relevant at times, but overall, I don't think he's going to jump up in value. I don't think he can jump up in the value that Mike Gesicki can if he is even just a decent, slightly above average tight end. He's going to be valuable than DJ Chark in fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, if they were both labeled as wide receivers, this wouldn't even be close. I would pick DJ Chark. The tight end eligibility is what keeps Mike Gesicki in the discussion for me. The problem with Gesicki is that it's pretty big. Yeah, that's honestly kind of it, dude. Like the drops, the fact that he hasn't broken a tackle since Nam, like he's only plays slot. He doesn't block. Like he's an incredible athlete. People underestimate how athletic this guy is. He had like one
I
of
was
the best
so in when he got drafted. Like I was all in on Mike Gesicki. I've got him on so many dynasty teams, which is why I'm painfully aware of how much he sucks.
Go watch the highlights of him playing basketball. Go watch the highlights of him playing volleyball, dude. Man's got hell of a spike. But I mean, I've seen it all. I've done the research on the guy, and I'm going with Chark, man. I've seen him have 1,000-yard season with 8 touchdowns. Like I've seen this guy go off. He's only 26 years old. He's got the size. He's got the speed. In the right situation, I still truly believe that DJ Chark could have an elite upside split end season. So even though I'm the tight end guy, I'm gonna pick the wide receiver in this one case. So yeah, give me Charkster. But
There we go.
JL's right. The floor is so low for this guy because we've seen him come out, get hurt, and we've seen him come out and be, you know what I mean?
John Luke, you've got the first vote in this next matchup determining who's going to face DJ Shark in the championship. We've got Evan Ingram versus Kareem Hunt. Who's it going to be?
Evan Ingram or Kareem Hunt? I got to go with Evan Ingram. The Kareem Hunt is getting up there in age. He's what, 26?
26, 27.
27. So, he's
27.
maybe past the peak, getting into his, twilight years here in the NFL. I think he can provide a ton of value. I think Evan Ingram still has a decent ceiling to live up to. So I'll go Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram moving on for John Luke. Coop, who's it going to be for you?
Yeah, that's where I'm at, man. Give me Ingram and the potential upside for him.
Or give me death.
I've always been a big fan, but if he could go somewhere, if another team wants to pay him the big bucks to make him a top 2 target on the team, just think of the upside. If he stays, I actually oddly think that it's worse for him to stay in Jacksonville than the upside of going somewhere else. So, but yeah, Kareem Hunt, as Dustin pointed out, he was RB 39 this year. His attitude wasn't good. It concerns me. So give me Ingram.
It's going to be Ingram for me as well, guys. I like Kareem Hunt. I think he could have fantasy value on another team, but Evan Ingram with the age and the potential breakout we saw this year and the tight end position makes this so valuable. So we're going to move on to our finals here. We've got what's up?
Well. Final matchup.
Now I get why you put these guys against each other in the beginning.
Because you had to get the matchup that was scheduled for the first round, but was reseeded at the last moment.
I tried to
escape this scenario.
I tried to escape this, having to do this, but it's inevitable. It was inevitable.
It was inevitable. We've got DJ Chark versus Evan Ingram here. Who's got the first vote on this one? Coop just had the last vote, which means JL had the first vote, which means Coop, you have the first vote.
Oh, these are my babies.
Your babies.
These are my sweet angels. I would want to pick.
My angels.
It's my sweet angels.
My sweet
I kind of want to pick DJ Chark, but I got to pick Evan Ingram, and I'll keep it short. Evan Ingram was a top 5 tight end with Eli Manning in fantasy football. He was a top 5 tight end with Trevor Lawrence in fantasy football. There's a real world where Daniel Jones just stinks, in that world, that hypothetical world, the current coaching staff didn't pick up his 5th-year option. So it's a very real possibility. And even playing with Daniel Jones, his peers, the players and coaches, voted him to the Pro Bowl in 2020, Evan Ingram. I think he's a really good player. I'm going to pick him in this bracket, Evan Ingram.
You put both these players on new teams. Which one am I more confident carves out a role in that offense? It's Evan Ingram. The wide receiver rooms are a little bit busier, and DJ Chark, I don't think is a talent that automatically commands targets in an offense. Now, maybe he has hit that point in his career, and we see a bit of a breakout. He's 26 years old. That's not absurd necessarily for DJ Chark to start hitting his stride at this point in his career, but I'll take that bet with Evan Ingram. We've seen it a couple times. So it's 2-0. John Luke, are you making this a queen sweep in the finals, or is a vote going to go for DJ Chark?
Making it a queen sweep. I haven't voted for DJ Chark at any round in this bracket, so I'm not going to start in the championship round. Let's go Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram, you are the champion of our free agents in Dynasty bracket.
That's not true. I did take him in the first round against Aguilar.
You did. But it took an Aguilar to make you take a Chark.
Took an Aguilar.
And I just for the sake of continuity, I'm checking our math right now over on our good friend Alex Korf Peakton High School's Trade Daddies charts. And it looks like of these players, he does assign the highest value to Evan Ingram, the highest dynasty value. So we're in line with the market on this one. We're in line with the market. He's got Rashad Penny, and Rashad Penny probably the next highest.
Really? That's interesting.
He's got Evan Ingram is at
I guess that makes sense. No,
Evan
it
Ingram's,
doesn't make sense.
Evan Ingram's at 20 points. Oh, wait a second. He has Schultz way ahead of everybody. No, he doesn't. Evan Ingram's, he does have Schultz the highest, actually. So Schultz is at 25 points. Evan Ingram's at 20. Then he's got Rashad Penny at 14 and DJ Chark at 13. Everybody else is kind of way below.
Wah, wah. Guys, coming up, we've got some fantasy detective to play. Then we're going to play a game called Here's the Pitch, where we're giving our ideas for inventions, movies, or anything else, really. And then we're going to talk some trade values using the charts that our friend Coop was just talking about, made by our bud, peaked in high school, aka the Trade Daddy. So he's going to bring those over on here. And we're going to talk a little bit about those. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Call, chat, and enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network. Moose and Keith.
Because I never asked you this. When Noah was growing up, when did Noah first where you got a sense that this is what my son wanted to do?
I was really busy during his formative years. I didn't meet Noah till he was about 19.
Nice.
So,
Your wife did a good job.
yeah, you may want to talk to your wife. I would say about 13, he started showing a legitimate interest. He started getting curious about how I prepared, what it required. And then I saw a little bit of a shift, 14, 15, where he was concentrating on the on-cameras, the interaction between play-by-play and analyst, and started probably taking mental notes at that point of the performance aspect of, okay, you do all this prep, but you got to go out and deliver it. So yeah, probably that 14, 15 range, I thought to myself, this could be something he really wants to do.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
You don't need to be like right 100% of the time.
No, there was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we could probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have satellite.
Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, it doesn't count. Sorry. Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And they bring out the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't.
and I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot, and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right? He's coming over to spot it, and it's every other time the player's just here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Is it me, Ray, or is the only publicity that Microsoft Surface has gotten out of their whole thing on the sideline is people throwing them to the ground in anger? Is that just a me thing? Or the only time I hear about this device, Ray, is when somebody is chucking it on the ground, just pissed off at it, which I get it. All of us are in that world. We love to do that. Only in the NFL, Ray, can they get away with it because these are free. There's no cost. It's part of the sponsorship. Here's 5,000 Microsoft tablets to get you through the NFL season, and these players are just slamming up tablets. It's like they've become Gilbert on the sideline, and they're so frustrated. They're just the only publicity this company and this product has gotten is negative.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We're about to that was pretty good, Coop. Was that your Sean Payton impersonation?
It was, yeah. It's Sean Payton the moment the onside kick is squibbling around on the ground in the Super Bowl. That's how they recovered it. All the players on the hands team looked over and they were like, "Is there
What the hell is that?"
rabid raccoon in the stadium.
That would be funny if an entire NFL team sideline just all at once during the game decided to just go.
It's terrifying.
They put their
Oh my
hands
God.
up like this too. Like you look over and every Saints player is just on the sideline.
That wowould work, dude. That could work, man.
On an onside kick. Sean Payton, give us a call. We'll give you the details of that play.
I always freak out. I did it this weekend too, sitting with my girlfriend and my buddy. That like it's like
Your
burned
girlfriend.
in my girlfriend's forever girlfriend.
Hey.
He's like,
was
yeah, my girlfriend, not my wife.
It was like burned in my
Freudian
brain.
slip.
Like when you play football, they burn it in your brain to yell ball when there's a fumble or a tipped ball. Because like say you're in man coverage and a ball gets batted, you're looking at your man, you're not going to know it's in the air. So they tell everybody on the sideline, yell ball. And like, I can never get it out of my brain. So now still like, we'll be sitting like in silence watching a football game and a ball will just get tipped at the line. And I'll be like, ball. And like my wife will be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, sorry, I literally cannot stop doing that.
There was some bus boy PTSD for me after bussing tables for so long, where every time I rounded a corner, like where every time I rounded a corner, just corner, like, and so then it happened where I'd be in a restaurant, I would just be walking to the bathroom, corner, like I don't need to, like
The bus boy comes out, he says corner too, and then you both just look at each other.
Yeah, you're in the middle of like a banana republic. And you're just like corner. Yeah, you can tell who worked at a restaurant or not too, because when they're passing by people, you'll see them put their arm behind their back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like not everyone does that, but the restaurant people immediately will put one arm behind their back, and it'd be like, "Excuse me,"
every single time.
Yeah.
I think the reason it got so ingrained in my head too was my very first day of work. I didn't say corner, and I saw someone, and I reacted, and immediately a full bus tub full of dishes on my first day of work, cartoon character style, fell and threw into the air. Shattered like 14 plates on day one on my new job at Macaroni Grill.
And it was your first day, so your uniform didn't really fit right. So a full bowl of soup went right down the front of your pants.
I mean, I did order soup a couple more times after that. And as you know, I'm not a fan of soup.
if you know what I mean.
And I wasn't eating that soup. Yeah. Guys, we're about to get into some fantasy detectives. Coop is going to be leading the game today. Jalen and I competing head to head. How this works is we've got a series of clues about a secret player. Coop's going to give them to us one at a time, and Jalen and I are going to take turns guessing who we think that player is. As more and more information gets revealed, the earlier in the clues that we guess it, the more points that we are going to get. John Luke, you ready?
Yep.
All right, gang. I'm leading this one. Good times for everybody. Here we go. All right. Your first clue.
Who's guessing first?
Let's see. Let me put it into a random number generator. JL, you're first.
Yeah.
All right. First clue. This player's father played defensive back for the Green Bay Packers.
Let's go with Green Bay Packers. Let's go with Aaron Jones.
It is not Aaron Jones.
Let's go with Kenneth Walker.
Not Kenneth Walker. Here's your second clue.
And a reminder for everyone in the chat, play along. I got the chats closed, the YouTube chat and the chat over here in the BSN app. So throw your answers in there.
And the
chat
secret chat that nobody knows about.
And the secret chat that nobody knows.
Super secret chat for the super secret messages. Secret chat. That's when you go in the chat, it plays that every time. The people in the super secret chat do know that. Yeah. And feel free to throw out other comments too. I have the chats open still, so I'll be reading them. All right. So second clue. This quarterback threw 12 interceptions this season.
12. Let's go with this quarterback threw 12 interceptions. I don't know a single quarterback.
And this is the part of this game. You're like, why can I only think of Tom Brady?
It is so funny though that like there's nothing worse than that when people are like, "Are you going to answer?" and you can't think of a single, even you just want to answer that's wrong, but it's within the right category. You can't think of it.
Let's go with Kenny Pickett.
It is not Kenny Pickett. Simon?
Okay. And we are going to go with, this is without a doubt, Taylor Heineke.
Oh my goodness. It is not Taylor Heineke, but that was an interesting guess. All right. Your next clue. His college coach, Urban Meyer, used to say to him, not enough velocity, blank. You're a Division III quarterback. You throw like a girl.
You're a Division III quarterback?
So I think what he meant is that obviously if it's Urban Meyer, he's a Division I coach. So I think he's saying that you play for a Division I program, but you're basically a Division III quarterback.
Okay.
I know it.
Shoot. Let's go with Burrow.
You son of a freaking gun.
is
Hold it out.
Joe
Just out of
Burrow.
no- You didn't
Answer-
even. I am so mad, JL, that you just threw out a guess and got that one.
The answer is Joe Burrow. And as though many know that Joe Burrow went to LSU, Urban Meyer coached at Ohio State, but Joe Burrow started his career at Ohio State before he transferred there. And you can tell that this list was made by Keith because the answer he has in here is John Burrow.
John Burrow.
Brick Purdy.
Rick Purdy.
Good job, dude. So there were five
Nailed
total. There were five total clues. You got it on the third clue. So does that mean he gets 2 points or 3 points?
How many clues? It's
There's
if
two
you got it
on
on the
the-
last clue, it would have been 1. The next to last clue, it would have been
Okay.
2.
So
that's
that means
3
3 points for JL. The next clues were going to be Amir and Eric Lines named a flight after his number. Flight number 9 transferred his team's fans to the Super Bowl. 5 would have been one of this player's nicknames is blank Shiesty.
John
That would have been dead
Shiesty.
giveaway. John Shiesty.
The other nickname, John Shiesty, Johnny Burr. So good job, JL. You will get 3 points on that one. And even more impressive, and we thank you for this. We got to see the Simon's eyes light up with glee, and then you stole all of that glee away with your guess. So that was a treat for all of us.
There was
Thank
like
God I
truly a
couldn't
moment where I was
remember.
like, God, I'm glad JL does. Like JL clearly doesn't know this one, and I know it for sure. I'm gonna get a point. Like I had already like he doesn't know. He's gonna say one of these other Ohio State.
You already
guys in
put
the
that.
NFL. He's
You
gonna
already
say
put that
Justin
point in
Fields.
the mind bank.
Exactly.
You already
I could see
deposited
it.
that.
It was already deposited. I was like, oh, nice. We're gonna have an early lead here.
Simon
I
does
was-
that. Simon does that little thing where he does with his head, where he goes, "I got it," like
Yeah.
that, and you know he has the answer. It's the classic.
100%.
Well, you don't even have to say I got it. If I see Simon go like this, I'm like, oh, he's got
The
it.
little-
He's-
the little
he's
round
got
town.
it. The little round.
Around.
He goes around town. He's
Around.
like, I got it. So we keep an eye on you. That's a little tell. We'll put
Yeah,
that.
I was struggling because I could not remember an Ohio State quarterback. For
You
the
couldn't
life of
remember
me.
Justin Fields. If only you remember
You
Justin
should've.
Fields.
I didn't even go to Justin Fields until you just said that right now.
If you were a
Like,
little
I d-
smarter, you would have got
stupid.
this wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, but I did remember Burrow had gone there at one point, so that
Right.
was closest guess I could go with.
All right, you guys ready for the next one?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I go
Alright, so-
first here.
Simon, you go first on this one. Let's just get right into it. Here is your first clue. This player used to play running back in high school.
Used to play running back in high school. This makes me think maybe it's a big boy because sometimes that works in high school. Just give like the biggest boy the ball and good luck bringing him down, right? Like sometimes just having a freak athlete. So I'm thinking maybe defensive player here, like a big defensive player. And I'm going to go with, let's go with Aaron Donald. Let's just go with let's start at the top and go with Aaron Donald.
It's not Aaron Donald, but imagine him at running back.
Right?
That would be a nightmare. The thing is, when you're in high school, like everybody plays both ways for the most part. So you got to think about it. Half these guys play defense probably also played quarterback or running back, you know. JL,
Yeah.
what do you got for us?
All right, I'm gonna go with. I just had a name in my head and it's gone. Oh no,
John Burrow.
Dude, I love
Oh,
when
no.
Keith makes these because This question, if I had read it exactly how it's written, it would say this player used to play running back in the high school.
The high school.
The high school.
I think we need to get Keith a Grammarly subscription.
I know. Don't. No, please don't. I really enjoy it too much.
All right, I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel.
Deebo Samuel is
Good
an amazing context level guess. It is not Deebo Samuel, but he could play running back right now in the NFL. So I imagine he would be a great high school running back. All right. Clue number 2, Simon, coming to you. This player was the highest pick selected from his college.
Ever?
I can check on that.
You know, Coop doesn't have that information.
But maybe.
I've been where you are, Coop.
Yeah.
As these questions start getting asked.
You know what? I would.
Highest player drafted?
I think he might be, dude. Yes.
Okay.
Ever. Yes, ever.
Okay, then this is a player from a smaller school for sure. So it's probably going to be Carson Wentz.
It is not Carson Wentz.
Damn.
JL.
Used to play running back in high school. Highest player drafted from college. Just go with
From college.
And don't forget, he went to the high school.
the high school, right? I'll go with Brock Purdy.
The dead last in the NFL draft is the best pick. I mean, I actually don't know anybody else picked from his school, but no, it is not Brock Purdy.
Damn.
So let's go back to Simon for clue number 3. This player ran a 4.41 in the 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine, which is cooking.
Which is cooking. I
mean,
think
it's not crazy. It's not like
was,
crazy, but it's fast. I mean, that's fast.
Yeah. We're going to roll with at the NFL Combine. This was Drake London.
It was not Drake London, but I like that guess. Although Drake London went to USC and they had quarterbacks.
Oh, shoot. I forgot a lot of the clues, if we're being honest.
Yeah. So recap, played running back in high school. He's the highest ever picked player from his college. He ran a 4.41. Yeah. So you almost can't pick certain schools.
Unless they were the first overall pick.
But even then it would be tied and that'd be a weird.
Which is still first, but that would be a weird thing to put in there. That would be a very well, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which there's been a lot of actuallys on this show, so I wouldn't rule anything out, guys.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with
Toby.
I'm gonna go with Patrick Mahomes.
It is not Patrick Mahomes. All right. So number 4 to Simon. This year, he was just one of 2 rookies selected to the Pro Bowl.
One of just 2 rookies selected to the Pro Bowl. So I'm assuming maybe I wish I was a little bit better on who was in the Pro Bowl this year. Used to play running back, so that eliminates any rookie running backs. Rookie wide receivers. Who's it going to be? Because there was a lot of guys who were pretty good this year. Garrett Wilson.
It is not.
Wait,
Garrett
and
Wilson.
he went to Ohio State.
Right,
You
he did.
stink ass
What if-
Simon.
what
You
if-
stink ass. You idiot.
What if Keith went full Mitch Hedberg on you here though, and he's like, he used to play running back. He still does, but he used to as well. JL.
Hey, JL, try to name someone who doesn't go to one of the top 5 biggest schools in the United States, like I did with my last 2 picks.
It's
Go with
interesting needle this player threads with all these.
Let's go with Sauce Gardner.
Boom shakalaka. It is Mr. Sauce Gardner. Dustin in the chat got that one. Dustin also got Joe Burrow on the last one. So proving once again that the chat is undefeated. So you got it. Sauce Gardner. The last clue was this player now has a commercial deal with Buffalo Wild Wings.
I would not have gotten that.
Makes a lot of sense for a guy named Sauce. So that brings the score to 5 for JL. Almost some for Simon, but good thing for Simon. We got some questions left. So
does advertising ever like really work on you guys? Like
It
right
does.
now, like like as soon as you said Buffalo Wild Wings, the most recent commercial I saw started playing in my head, and I was sitting there thinking like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get Buffalo Wild Wings today."
But I've got to the stage of my career where I'm like, I know I'm going to use Twitter, right? Like I know I'm going to use some of these things. Like I would actually fill out a survey. If you could just give me a survey that would take less than 5 minutes, I would fill it out to get better and more accurate advertising. Like just at least if you're going to bombard me with ads, and I know you're going to anyway, at least send me ads for like watches or shoes or like things that I actually use. You know what I mean? Like it's sending me ads for like spatulas.
TikTok, stop giving me women's bra advertisements. I do not wear bras, and I'm not going to purchase them. So find something else.
That's what I'm saying. Like send me ads
and
for
over
like
and over again.
cheap sunglasses and finger traps, things that I actually use on a daily basis. You know,
all my ads are for therapy and bras. That's everything that gets advertised to me. Right. Who do they think I am?
And I don't need therapy. I have this show for instead of therapy.
No, I do need therapy. I just don't need it off TikTok. Like I'm good on that front. I'll get my therapy not off of TikTok.
Yeah. All right, y'all ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Before we get into that, we got Nick in the chat. What up, Nick? He said he's LMAO. You stink ass. I'm gonna start calling my cat stink ass from now on.
You stink ass cat. And I was going to pay attention to the chat, and I didn't. I apologize. I'm back now paying attention to the chat. So,
and Dustin said, bonus question, what is Sauce's real first name? It's Ahmad.
It'd be so cool if it was actually Sauce, though.
If it was Sauce, it'd be so sweet.
If it was Alfredo.
Alfredo Sauce.
Alfredo Brown.
It's a real name?
Is that his real
Alfredo.
name?
Yeah, baby.
That's tight.
Alfredo's definitely his real name.
I was going to say, I don't know. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know for sure that that's his real name. I haven't asked, but I know Alfredo is a real name that people.
He and I have talked about his name before.
Yeah. Whether it was his real name or not, if it's his real name, it's cool. If it's his nickname, it's still cool.
Now, I'm suspicious of his brother Marinara. I'm not so positive that's
Don't even
their
get me
real
started
name.
on Pesto.
Uncle Pesto.
Uncle Pesto.
A little bit nutty.
Uncle Pesto sounds like a character that Joe Pesci would play.
And Auntie Vodka.
Auntie.
Reminds me of Jimmy Pesto.
Yeah. Jimmy Pesto
from Bob's Burgers.
Yeah. All right, on to the next one. I believe JL, you're first on this one.
Yeah, JL's first.
JL's back. All right.
And JL's up 5-0, I believe.
Okay, here we go. Here's your first question. While in college, he was caught playing rock, paper, scissors with a teammate before a play.
What?
I'll read it again. And
he was caught?
Yeah, so here's how this was. I'm not sure. At this point, Keith, are you going back in and editing these to have worse and worse grammar? Because this one, if I read it the way it's written, is while in college, he was caught play rock, paper, scissors with a teammate before a play. I fixed it to play.
Okay.
Apparently, somebody saw him, the cameras, I imagine, saw him playing rock, paper, scissors with a teammate.
By caught, I assume it's like innocuous. It's not anything malicious. It's just like generally people don't play rock, paper, scissors right before a play, and they caught him on camera doing it.
It happened, though.
Yeah.
Let's go with Christian Wilkins.
That's what I was going to guess.
Oh, my God, dude. And you would have been wrong. Because
okay, well, thanks, JL, for
I figured Keith wouldn't have made it a defensive player that wasn't a top pick.
Simon, what do you got?
In college, the player that played rock, paper, scissors was clearly
all of them.
It was clearly, without a doubt, this was Davis Mills.
It would be amazing if you just guessed it from the entire pool of all the players. But no, it was not Davis Mills. All right, second question. That will actually help you get the answer. His 916 yards set his team's rookie record for most receiving yards in a single season.
900 and what?
So as a rookie, he had 916 yards. That is this NFL team's rookie record.
Wait, as a rookie this year, did you say that or no?
No. So all time. So the team he plays for, the most yards a rookie's ever had is 916 yards. That's what this player had as a rookie.
But you are not telling me that this player was a rookie this year. I'm not asking you to say yes or no they were, but I'm just asking, are you telling me that?
Oh, I'm not telling you that now.
Okay, cool.
Okay. That's a good clarification. I'll go with Tyreek Hill.
It was not Tyreek Hill.
Just gonna guess Dolphins until I'm right.
The thing with Tyreek Hill is that he exploded on the scene mostly by returning punts and kicks. I don't think he had a ton of yards as a rookie. It was his next year where he crushed everybody. Simon, what you got?
I'm trying to think, like, my mind went to a couple Steelers at first, but I feel real risky guessing any Steelers wide receivers because I imagine that rookie record probably is more than 916 yards for the Steelers. I don't know why. It just feels like it would be higher than that. They got to have a 1,000-yard rookie wide receiver some point in the Steelers' history with how good they are at drafting wide receivers. So all I can think of right now are Steelers, which is why that is coming to the prominent point in my mind. But we're going to go with a rookie wide receiver named Toby. Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett is not the answer. And I'll tell you guys right now, someone in the chat got it from the rocks, paper, scissors question. And he actually named both players that played rocks, paper, scissors. Pretty impressive.
It was Dustin, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Number 3. This player was the 68th Alabama player selected in the first round of the NFL draft.
And I've now forgotten all other clues.
First one, rocks, paper, scissors. Second one, 916 receiving yards as a rookie, set the rookie record. And third one, he was the 68th Alabama player that was selected in the first round of the NFL draft.
Who's up first?
You are.
I am. Let's go with Alabama. Let's go with Devontae Smith.
There were a number of guys you could have picked from, and you picked the correct one.
Let's
with
go.
Devonta Smith, the Slim Reaper, the Grinch himself, stealing from the Salvation Army. Devonta Smith was caught playing rocks, paper, scissors, according to Dustin, with Jerry Jeudy on camera as a rookie. I mean, with wide receivers from Alabama, you could have picked Amari Cooper, you could have picked Jalen Waddle, could have picked Henry Ruggs, but
Jalen Waddle.
That was going to be my next guess was Jalen Waddle after you said Alabama. And I saw a picture on Twitter yesterday of the receiving corps from Alabama. At one point, it was just these 4 guys walking together, and it was Jerry Jeudy, Devonta Smith, Henry Ruggs, and Jalen Waddle all on the same team at the same time. Holy cow. That reminds when I think about like Taj Boyd and why he didn't pan out in the NFL after looking so good in college, I look back and I think of the receivers he had. He had DeAndre Hopkins, Sammy Watkins, Martavius Bryant, Sharon Peake, Gerard Brown, and Adam Humphries. Like, even though some of those names aren't like the best, they're NFL caliber wide receivers. So
that couldn't happen to Mac Jones, could it?
Nah, no way that happens to Mac Jones when he was thrown to Jerry Jeudy, Devonta Smith, Henry Ruggs, and Jalen Waddle. He had a better wide receiver core in college, and it's not even close.
Now, on the flip side, Joe Burrow was throwing to
Justin Jefferson,
Jamar Chase, and arguably the best of them all, Terrace Marshall. So, you never know. Could be awesome, could be not awesome. The next clues that we did not get to, number 4, this player had 95 catches for over 1,100 yards this season. And number 5, during his Heisman acceptance speech, he said, to all the young kids out there, that's not the biggest, not the strongest, just keep pushing because I'm not the biggest. I've been doubted a lot just because of my size. So there you go. Devonta Smith was the answer to that one. Jail, you're going to get 3 points on that. That's going to bring you to a commanding 8-0 lead over Simon.
I'm very lucky this game. This is just working out in my favor.
Should we give Simon a chance to redeem himself and go first on this next one?
Well, it is my turn to go first.
It is your turn. Do we have time to do another one?
Go for it.
All right, let's do it. Simon, this one's for you. And I'd like to tell you that this one's worth quadruple points so you get back into it, but it's just going to be a normal one. So, but you never know. If you get maybe if you get this one really fast, we can do another one, you get back in. Here we go. First question. This player looked up to Alvin Kamara during his college years.
Rashad White.
It is not Rashad White. JL?
Sorry, say the clue one more time.
So this player looked up to Alvin Kamara during his college years. So all we know at this point is that he's an Alvin Kamara fan. It's not Alvin Kamara, and it's not Rashad White.
Breece Hall?
It is not Breece Hall, but those are both excellent guesses.
Who did Simon guess?
Simon guessed Rashad White.
Rashad White.
So you at least know this guy's also
I guess.
younger than Alvin Kamara. It'd be funny if it was like Cordell Patterson.
Frank Gore.
Frank Gore looked up to Alvin Kamara. Second clue. This player was selected in the 6th round of the 2021 NFL draft.
The 6th round. Elijah Mitchell.
Pick. Oh, boom shot. Dude, you got it, man. I was about to say, I was literally looking for a way to tell you no. That's how I didn't think you'd get it, but boom, you got it. Elijah Mitchell. And since you got it on the second clue, that's going to give you 4 points. The next clues were in the 2021 season, this player broke the single season rookie rushing record for his team with 963 rushing yards. Clue number 4, this player suffered an MCL tear this season. And clue number 5, this player was supplanted as the lead RB when his team traded for a new RB. Bet you guys would have got it with some of those other ones. But yeah, Elijah Mitchell with 2. That's going to give you 4 points, bring it 8-4. Are we calling it there, or should we give him one last chance? Okay.
We're calling it. Jail's got the victory on that one, 8-4, but I'm glad I didn't get skunked. Got one there at the end. Elijah Mitchell was the only 6th round back I could think of that was like fantasy relevant from that draft class.
Nice pull.
That's a tough crew. That's a nice pull, and that's a big 4 points. So you know what? JL won the game, but you got the
But you won the war.
You won the battle. The war was over. You're like one of those like Japanese crews that like they didn't
stay in the jungle for 40 years afterwards.
Tell them it was over. So you secured some like small island in the Pacific, and then everyone showed up and was like, you didn't have to do that. But anyway, you dropped a 4 bomb though. That's the biggest single score of the game, which is something to hang your hat on. So go ahead and hang that hat up.
I'll show up in the Sports Center top 10. They're just going to ignore the final score of that game. They'll add an addendum, and they went on to lose 8-4.
He had a half-court shot, and then they lost by 30.
As coming up, we are going to talk you through some of our best ideas in a segment we called Here's the Pitch. And then we're going to talk trade values using our friend Alex Corp, a.k.a. the Trade Daddy, a.k.a. peaked in high school's trade value charts. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra.
Your 2023 prediction on the promo that we play was the Lakers was going to make the playoffs and beat somebody in the first round.
Hey,
that is
I hope we match up against Memphis.
That's not going to happen.
I hope we match up against Memphis.
And you'll get swept.
Ain't no way we get swept.
Sweep them. The Memphis Grizzlies would be swept. They would be laughing at them.
If the Grizzlies if the Lakers make the playoffs with AD healthy, Westbrook off the bench, and LeBron, everybody's healthy, they will beat the Memphis Grizzlies 100%.
We will be on Lucra betting on that game right
100%.
now. All right, Better Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra. Lucra is redefining friendly competition. Compete in the games you play and the sports you watch with Lucra. Download the Lucra app right now to create a contest and bet against your friends in as little as 15 seconds. Use the promo code BSM when you sign up to receive a free $5 to play with. Winning is fun, and beating your friends is even better.
Lucra is redefining friendly competition. Download the Lucra app today to challenge your friends and win money.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined again, they didn't leave, by my co-hosts, John Luke Garofalo and Andrew Cooper. And we're about to give you some of our best ideas that we have. We're making some pitches for you in a segment we called Here's the Pitch. These are invention ideas or movie ideas that we have that we want to pitch to you guys. And you guys can give us your feedback, your honest feedback on what you think about our ideas right here. John Luke, you want to start us off today? You want me to start us off? Where do we want to go?
Why don't you start us off today, Simon?
Okay. My idea here, I went with mostly inventions last time. I'm going with a movie that I would love to see made at this point. And it is a remake of a classic Christmas movie, Home Alone. I want a full Home Alone remake. And I'm going to tell you some of the cast in this movie, okay? The mother's being played by Katherine Hahn, which if you've watched WandaVision, she's Agnes, the neighbor in WandaVision. She's going to come in and she's going to play the mom in the new Home Alone. Bryan Cranston, Breaking Bad, Malcolm in the Middle. He's going to play the dad in Home Alone, without a doubt. Bryan Cranston. The most important casting piece of this movie, though, is Macaulay Culkin is still going to play Kevin, and they're going to refuse to acknowledge that he's not 7 years old throughout the entire movie. So adult Macaulay Culkin with Kathryn Hahn and Bryan Cranston as his parents are going to star in the new Home Alone movie, in which Macaulay Culkin plays a 7-year-old.
That sounds
I would watch it.
phenomenal. Now, the question is, who do you get to play the criminals that are coming in to rob the house?
Ooh, that is a good question. Maybe you guys can help me. I haven't figured out who's playing the criminals.
Because those are two. I mean,
Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen is one of them for sure.
Tom Hardy and Seth Rogen.
Tom Hardy and Seth Rogen.
I was going to say, if you were going to go with Seth Rogen, then you could easily go with one of his buddies like James Franco.
Honestly, I love the Tom Hardy Seth Rogen combo with Kathryn Hahn and Bryan Cranston as the parents, and Macaulay Culkin still playing Kevin in that movie.
You'd have to have, I would want the beginning because of, if you're going to bring in Kathryn Hahn, I think she's also the mom, or she's not the mom, but she's amazing in Step Brothers as the wife of
she's in Step Brothers too.
She's the wife. That's her. Yeah. She's the wife of
he is very funny in that.
Adam Scott's character.
Which is funny because later those two actors meet in Parks and Rec as well.
That's right, dude.
I noticed that the last time I watched Step Brothers.
A little chemistry action. So I would want the beginning of the movie before they leave to be pretty long, and just so we can see all the scenes where they're treating him just like he's like a child, like a 10-year-old or however old he's supposed to be in the movie.
Thanks, Simon. I didn't realize who that was at first. Like the name didn't stick out to me, but that is such a good pick.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
She's perfect for the mom in that movie. She's gonna play it so well.
I really like her. I think she's very talented.
Me too. She's been rising on my list of favorite actresses over the past couple years, and she's right up there. She's so funny.
Yeah, her delivery is spot on.
Perfect.
And Scott Fish in the chat saying, "Now you see me 3, the final act. Now you see me 4, the 4 horsemen ride again.
Now you see me 5.
Now you see me 5.
No subtitle. We ran out of subtitle ideas.
Now you see me 5. No, you didn't. Why the hell are you at the movie theater paying $17 for the 5th movie in this shit franchise?
Now you see me 6.
You see me 5. You shouldn't have.
Too fast.
Now you see me 6. Now you don't.
Now you see me 7. Too fast to see me.
Damon here said Kathryn Hahn is so good in everything she is in that I've seen.
Awesome.
Scott agreeing. Yeah, she's awesome.
Wonderful.
So there's my idea. Home Alone, fully remade. Kathryn Hahn and Bryan Cranston as the parents. Tom Hardy and Seth Rogen as the 2 criminals. And Macaulay Culkin as a grown-ass man playing the child that gets left home alone. And everyone in the movie treats him like a child.
I like that idea a lot, Simon. I'd watch it.
I want it so bad.
That'd be so
Coop, you got one for us?
Yeah, so I have I know we're kind of crunched on time here, so I give you a movie or an invention. What do you guys want? Do you guys want a movie? Do you want an invention?
We might be able to hit both, whichever one you like more. Hit us with first.
I want JL to choose a category.
I choose option C. Something clever I couldn't think of.
Perfect.
Come up with something clever I couldn't think of, Coop.
Something clever that you couldn't think of. A quarterback that graduated from Ohio State.
Boom, nailed it.
Okay, so movie.
Give us your invention.
The invention. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about inventions. To be honest, I actually thought of an invention and looked it up, and it had already been invented, and then I ordered it off Amazon. I was trying to think of inventions, and I'm like, what if there was a heated ice cream scoop that it would heat up and then you could scoop ice cream even if it was freezing cold and rock hard? That already exists and it's on its way to my house. So that is just a beautiful part of this game. But I actually in that line of thinking, I thought of another invention, and it would be very helpful to many fans of the show. Me, of course, not you two mostly, because we've had extensive discussions on Sloppy Joes on this show and whether or not they're good. To Simon, it apparently is his worst nightmare of a food. Just a completely messy meat. Right, Simon? You're not a big Sloppy Joe fan?
It is my literal hell, a Sloppy Joe.
Ketchup or Sloppy Joe?
Well, Sloppy Joes are full of ketchup. There's ketchup in sloppy joes, so I picked just plain ketchup over ketchup mixed with my least favorite meat. No, most sloppy joe recipes are pretty ketchup heavy, like in the sloppy joe, not put on the sandwich on top. It's like meatloaf, where sloppy joe and meatloaf are both pretty ketchup heavy as an ingredient.
Yeah. Now, this is a food invention that I couldn't find, even though I was looking for it, and was surprised that it doesn't exist. Now I see Dame Overboard saying extra sloppy. Good morning,
Extra
Dame.
sloppy.
Thank you for joining us.
Good
I know
morning,
she's
Dame.
West Coasters, so it's early over there. So thank you for popping in. But my invention is on the other side of that spectrum, the opposite of the extra sloppy. Don't know why this hasn't been invented yet, but they have like taco salad bowls that are made out of taco shells and things like that. Why aren't there special buns that have the middle dug out and the top dug out so that you can fill these puppies with all that sloppy goodness and then put them together, and it keeps it all in the middle, and now you just have this like sloppy hand grenade
Rock.
of delicious tastiness.
It's like an Easter egg full of beef.
Like a snowball that's made of bread and filled with beef. Just sloppy.
So it's like sloppy, it's like
juicy.
A similar concept to a mozzarella stick, but it's a bun and there's beef inside.
You could potentially even develop one where imagine if you take the sloppy Joe stuff and put it into the dough and then you cook the whole thing. What about that, dude? What about that?
So basically a Jimmy John's sloppy Joe is what you're looking for.
Do those exist?
No, but they carve the bread out so that you can fit toppings in there.
Yeah, I always tell them, hey, leave the bread in.
Or even
that's my favorite part.
Dustin in the chat goes, did Coop just invent bread bowls? No, Dustin, this is totally different.
Bread lids.
This is a totally different invention. Completely different. The thing is,
bread bowls with a lid.
Nothing offends me more than that, because it happens to me all the time. Like I'll come up with these like movie ideas. Like I'll be like I have all these notes in my phone for movies. Like I'll be like drinking or whatever, and then I'll be like, oh, just came up with a great movie idea. And the next day I'll go to my buddy and I'll be like, here's the idea, right? The Earth, it's like becoming unsustainable. So we build this big shell around the outside of it. And then eventually people realize that they can just scoop the Earth out. And then you just have this big ball where everybody lives inside of it. And my buddy's like, yeah, they have that. That's called a Death Star. And I'm just like, shut up, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be like telling him, it's always the same buddy, Alex, dude, that I'm like, oh, what about this idea? And he's like, yeah, they made that movie already. It's called Pocahontas. And I look at my notes and I'm like, yeah, that's Pocahontas. And also Avatar. So like that really
James Cameron had Alex.
It offends me, Dustin, when you say that about my inventions.
I remember distinctly in high school telling a friend, what if like you could like in real time text message with your voice? Like I could say something you didn't. He was like, you mean a phone call? It's like, yeah, pretty close to a phone call, actually, is what I was thinking of. Almost exactly like a phone call.
Like a text message where you could just talk to the other person.
Exactly. That would be so cool.
You want to type?
Coop, I like your bread lid. I wouldn't be putting sloppy Joe in there, but if you told me I could fill that with like, I don't know. I'm always having like on like my fried chicken sandwich, like the coleslaw and stuff like that fall out the edges. If there was a bun that could keep all my ingredients just in the middle of it, like a bun with a hole in the middle where the edges are secure, I'm in.
That's what I'm saying. You look at the pictures of sloppy Joes and it looks horrifying. It looks terrible. It makes you not want that. But then when you think about it in the context of maybe they're not so sloppy, maybe more people would be enjoying them. Big sloppy, whoever's the marketer for sloppy Joe needs to step their game up. Be like, how about just
who the heck is Joe?
Manageable Joes, right? Thank you, Dustin, for apologizing. Your circular bread container with a lid is a great invention. I thought so too.
Very smart. Very smart.
Coop. I thought so too.
Manageable Joes. I'm just think that's really
Manageable Joes.
I mean, they're a lot more appealing, you know.
Moderately.
Reasonable Joes, yeah, edible Joes versus these abominations.
All right, I'm gonna go with my invention here. My invention. Listen, this is a hot take. I think I've talked about this on the show before. Golf, as a concept and as a culture, they take themselves far too seriously.
Agreed.
This game could be so fun, and you get so caught up in etiquette, doing it the way that these freaking non-creative old guys came up with, and you're just sticking to that. No, get out of here. Wear whatever you want, because when you come and visit our dynamic Westworld-like golf course, you are gonna love it. You don't have to wear anything, but it is recommended. It is recommended. And the concept here, it's like a golf course, but it moves and it shifts. And there are big obstacles, big fun obstacles that you have to get around in order to be able to get to your ball, for instance, or get to the hole. Not only that, but the entire course is shifting. So you got to be working with some other people on the course, some of the other foursomes that you encounter to be able to accomplish all and finish all 18. We're making
when
it
you
fun.
say
We're
shifting,
making
do you mean like the order of the holes and like you have to
the
find
course itself? Imagine Westworld is kind of like the analogy coming up with, where they're able to create and change the landscape on the fly.
So
I've never seen Westworld.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm imagining Westworld from scratch because I've never seen Westworld.
What's
so,
scratch?
Like,
just like
I've got
nothing?
nothing to base it off of. So when you say imagine Westworld, my mind goes.
I realized
wild.
that halfway through it, that you probably haven't seen Westworld.
And Dustin's just being a real dick in the chat. So JL just created the show. Holy moly!
I was gonna be a dick too. I was gonna be a big dick too and say I've got the perfect name for it. We'll call it Big Mini Golf.
Mini golf's not shifting though. I want some shifts. I want some good.
And
some
JL, I
good
hear you, because like you're still taking your driver out. Know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Holy Moly is mini golf. So, but I'm imagining you kind of take Holy Moly, you take some of the TV production aspects out of it. You're not just trying to put giant ducks on there, and like every movement is for the purpose of making this kind of like bizarre and extreme and an adventure. And you're still whipping your driver out. You got your 4-iron out there. You got to hit out of the rough. Holy moly!
How about this idea? You have each hole, right? You have it's just like JL is describing, except you have a hole at each end. And let's say you make the holes a little bit bigger, so it's a little easier to get them in there. And then you have two players, and they're each trying to get it. There's one ball, and they're hitting it back and forth trying to get it into the hole. So like you take a whack, and then I run over to the ball and take a whack back towards you, and then you take a whack back towards me.
Have you ever tried to search for a golf ball, Coop?
And Dustin said, "But everyone is naked."
But everyone's naked.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. It would be a pretty long game. It'd be a very long, dangerous game.
A lot of this.
I think I've told you guys the first time I ever played golf, I brought these neon pink golf balls so I wouldn't lose them, bright pink. The entire course covered in cherry blossom trees that were flowering at the time. So there were just bright pink flowers covering every flat surface of pine straw. And I lost like 7 balls. I was like, I know what I'll do. I'll make sure I don't lose these. And the whole course is pink, like the entire thing.
Golf would be dope if they did make the hole a little bigger, though.
JL, I'm all about it, because I've heard of ways they've tried to make things more fun. Like, have you heard of foot golf?
No.
So on some golf courses, they've added foot golf courses where behind the hole there'll be another hole about this big, and you tee off with a soccer ball. And the idea is that like kids can come with their parents to golf and they'll play foot golf, but I just want to play foot golf. Like, I want to go out there and play golf with a soccer ball with a giant hole. That sounds like so much fun. And you're like, it's in the same vein, even though it's a different idea. Just take golf and make it more fun. It doesn't have to be the same rigid sport.
Right.
Those dudes that could bend the ball around trees, like David Beckham, would be so nasty at that.
Like wanted.
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't know that. I play.
What's it called, JL?
It's called West Golf.
West Golf.
I love it, dude. Written by Michael
Golf
Craig.
World.
Written by
It's
Michael
called
Craig.
West Golf World.
It's called Golf Puzzle Time.
Presented by HBO. That moves.
Puzzle guy, golf time.
Dustin, you're killing me today. He said JL's next idea, golf, but instead of a ball, you use a frisbee.
Dude, unbelievable, bro.
Oh my God, Dustin.
And Dustin says, "Man, I'm super trolley today. You're a trolley."
It was very trolley. Got that big trolley energy.
Choo choo. Choo choo.
He
My
just
boy.
keeps thinking, which way do I go?
Choo, few.
Do I continue on my path over 5 people, or do I divert my path over 1 person?
Keep chugging,
Trolley
brother.
problem.
Keep chugging.
I like it, JL. I like it. So we've got Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin still playing the child, Coop's Sandwich Shells, and JL's West Golf as our ideas for today.
Pretty legendary stuff, dude.
Pretty hot.
I invented a heated ice cream scoop, but somebody else also invented that.
Heated ice cream scoop.
Coop, I had one of those. I had one of those moments where I thought I had something to invention I've been sitting on for years and years and years, and then I went to Google it, and it's been invented. It was a tent, but the bottom of it is an air mattress, so that you don't have to bring an air mattress with you, and so you could just inflate the bottom of your tent. The whole tent is air mattress.
Pretty sure that's just
like
one of
that.
those like bouncy houses that kids get.
Yeah.
Is that what this segment's going to become? Us just trying to rationalize
Just
each other's inventions?
describing different things that already exist.
This segment, and this week I'm going to invent a stick that makes your voice louder when you talk into it. I call it the voice stick.
Voice stick. Wait a minute.
Wait a second.
Guys, coming up, we're going to hit some trade values, some dynasty trade values using our friend Trade Daddy, aka Peakton High School's trade value charts. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Auto beans.
Big beans. We'll get right into those trade values. We can go ahead and pull these up. Guys, for those of you who have not seen these trade value charts before, we'll post a link in the BSN chat or in our YouTube chat as well for these trade charts. Our friend Alex creates these. You can find him on Twitter at PeaktonHS_FF. And how he creates these by pulling in expert consensus rankings and using that data to track market trends for all of these players. He updates them about once a month for Dynasty in the off season. And you can find them again on his Twitter, or you can check them out on Patreon. But it's always pretty interesting to get into these. So while you guys are pulling those up, we'll get them in the chat. We're going to be right back. Right now, this is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra.
Your 2023 prediction on the promo that we play was the Lakers was going to make the playoffs and beat somebody in the first round.
Hey,
That is
I hope we
never-
match up
that's
against
not-
Memphis.
That's not going to happen.
I hope we match up against Memphis.
And you'll get swept.
Ain't no way we get swept.
Sweep them. The Memphis Grizzlies would be sweep. They would be laughing at them.
If the Grizzlies and if the Lakers make the playoffs with AD healthy, Westbrook off the bench, and LeBron, everybody's healthy, they will beat the Memphis Grizzlies 100%.
We will be on Lucra betting on that game right
100%.
now. All right, Better Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra. Lucra is redefining friendly competition. Compete in the games you play and the sports you watch with Lucra. Download the Lucra app right now to create a contest and bet against your friends in as little as 15 seconds. Use the promo code BSN when you sign up to receive a free $5 to play with. Winning is fun, and beating your friends is even better.
Lucra is redefining friendly competition. Download the Lucra app today to challenge your friends and win money.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. Dustin said, stupid meeting. Great show, you all. You can enjoy the rest of the show free of my comments. Dustin, I'm going to miss you, man. And I love your comments. You had me rolling there. When you got to Holy Moly, Jalen invented Holy Moly live on air. That is one of my guilty pleasure shows. Holy Moly. I watch it. I know it's trash, but I can't stop watching. It's so good.
I am the least amount of surprised at that information.
It's so much fun. It's just preposterous. And the best hole of all is the one with the windmills. It's the classic one, but just you get the best just swacks.
Was the friends
The
who made
best
along
hole
the
of
way.
all is the butthole. Victor in here said, I'm a sweetheart. I hit the like button for Coop. What's up, Victor?
Hey.
Victor, you're the man, dog.
You are a sweetheart.
I've never seen this show, but Rob Riggles.
Rob Riggle?
Steph
Yeah.
Curry was on it.
It's his show.
What?
Executive producer Steph Curry.
Okay, so now I'm kind of.
And they have a whole running bit throughout the show that he's like trying to make it professional mini golf a thing, and they'll like pull in Draymond Green and like his teammates to try to talk him out of it. but they've got like little skits in every episode with Steph Curry, like trying to make holy moly and professional mini golf a real thing.
I don't love that, dude.
Wow.
The Muppets are also in this.
What can I tell you? Holy moly has it all.
What can I
Seems
tell you?
pretty awesome, dude.
If you've never watched it, you should watch an episode.
Scott fished in the comments that 2 of the 3 cameras have Cooper in it. And they said, JL, why are you hating? I don't know why I'm hating.
No Cooper love?
Why am I hating?
Also, Scott said the Muppet season was meh. Not a big Muppet season fan.
Muppet season.
I like the Muppets.
Hashtag Muppet season.
Hashtag it's Wabbit season. No,
Muppets.
it's Muppet season. Oh, we're going hunting Muppets today.
I'm gonna check and see if anyone's ever used the hashtag Muppet season with the season spelled SZN.
I hope so.
JL, who's your favorite Muppet?
Many people have.
If I knew one, I would name one.
And Coop, do you have the same favorite Muppet as JL?
Is Kermit a Muppet?
My favorite Muppet is Patrick Mahomes.
Kermit is a Muppet.
Nice.
Kermit, Mahomes, same thing. My favorite Muppet is that big bird with the unibrow. What's his name? Joe Flacco.
I was legitimately trying to think of a Muppet while you said that, Coop.
That's the one.
Dame in here, Dame Unbelievable, asking us, how do y'all see Bijan Robinson versus Saquon Barkley as far as value goes in Dynasty? As we get into our Dynasty trade segment here.
It's a risk reward question.
Yeah, before we give our opinion, do we have the rookies on these charts yet? I do not think so, right?
Not yet, just picks.
They're not on there. Saquon Barkley is sitting right up there near the top, though, the 4th most valuable running back the last time these charts were ran in January, which is right now 79 points. Jonathan Taylor, for context, is up at number 1 at 86. Christian McCaffrey, 2, 83. Breece Hall, 3 at 81. Saquon Barkley, 4 at 79. I think Bijan Robinson is probably in that tier.
Is he the first pick for you in 1 quarterback leagues?
In 1 quarterback leagues, it's Bijan Robinson, no question. In 2 quarterback leagues, I think it's still a question. Then you ask, and it might still be Bijan Robinson.
Right, you Coop.
I think it's Now, do you guys separate Superflex from 2 QB leagues? There is a minor difference, but not
whenever I'm talking values. When I'm talking values, I generally put 2 QB and Superflex together. But I hear what you're saying.
You just uniformly add value to quarterbacks in that situation. So you're right. There is a difference. Typically, I don't separate them in my advice unless specified by someone.
Even in Superflex, running backs are the currency of Dynasty fantasy football. They're the cog that makes every trade. Like, I feel like every trade that isn't just player for pick, like you need running backs to be involved. They're the great, because of how short the shelf life is, they're the great mover of trades. Everyone's terrified of the cliff, and the teams that are competing now know that they need those running backs to win. So I think I'm going to go Bijan, man. Running backs, they carry a special value in Dynasty.
Yeah, they're like the liquid cash of fantasy football, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, the wide receivers are like the gold. You know what I mean? Like, they'll carry their value for a long time. They're used in medical equipment. So even if, the world gets flipped upside down,
there is upside.
They'll still be important, but it's like, you can't just take a bar of gold and go to the bar and make it rain. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the running backs, I just have that cash is just more fun, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if we're taking him first overall in 1 quarterback league, he's the hands down first pick, then I think we can value him. I know, crazy logic. 65 to 72 is the trade value range for early first round pick here, which is around as far as where that translates to running backs, we're getting Travis Etienne. Right above it is Austin Eckler, Kenneth Walker, Saquon Barkley. Right below it is Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams. So I don't think it's absurd to switch from Saquon to Bijan Robinson or prefer Bijan Robinson over Saquon, but it is certainly risky and would depend on your strategy. What are you trying to do with your team?
Saquon's only 25. You know what I mean? He's not like one of these backs that's 27, 28. He's 25 years old. He's still fairly young for a running back.
And he missed the season there too.
I think I'm still preferring Saquon, but I honestly think Bijan is in that tier for me. He's a little higher than that range for an early first that you gave, JL. He's up there. He's ahead of Kenneth Walker. he's probably number 5 on that list for me, behind Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley. Probably next up is Bijan Robinson.
I'll throw a caveat on it. If I'm one of the top teams in my league, top say 3, but definitely if I'm the best team in my league, I'm not messing around. I want Saquon.
Yeah.
He's safer, right? His value range is like here to here. Whereas like Bijan's his upside might be here with the extra years, but his downside is way over here where Trent Richardson is buried. You know what I mean? So you just never know.
I see your caveat, and I raise you a caveat. If you have enough depth at running back, cycling your running back assets is not necessarily a bad strategy here. So let's say that you have Saquon Barkley. For instance, in one Dynasty league, I have Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, and I have one more, J.K. Dobbins. So in that situation, I might be interested in moving Saquon Barkley because I have the depth to account for his range in the next couple of years, and I can now cycle, and that gives me longer term upside for my team, which is going to make sure my team stays more relevant as we go and the years go on to when Saquon does drop off in value. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea, but I do agree with your original premise too.
People get a little too carried away with that sometimes, in my opinion. That's all.
They can for sure.
Would suck. It would suck for you to, like, let's say last year you traded Derrick Henry for Travis Etienne. Like, you probably lost, right? You probably didn't win your league because you traded for a running back that we think has long-term upside, but he wasn't a top back this year. You know, it's like if you traded Nick Chubb, if you traded Nick Chubb for Travis Etienne, you probably lost your league.
You probably lost your what?
You probably lost your league because Travis Etienne wasn't good enough this year.
But in Dynasty, I'm a little bit less worried about that at times. And if I have the depth to back it up, then it's a little bit less of a risk. I see what you're saying. I agree.
I'm trying to win
agree
now.
with the premise.
Like,
I understand that, but this doesn't necessarily preclude you from winning now or the future. I don't think it's a either or type of situation.
I think
unless the decision is Saquon Barkley or Bijan Robinson. Like, if that's the decision you're making, I think it exactly is an either or scenario, right?
There's a decent chance that Bijan Robinson finishes ahead of Saquon Barkley this year.
But not like you wouldn't rank it that way. You're making your team worse for this season.
Potentially.
Yeah, potentially. But if you have the depth to back it up,
I'm
saying the trade-off to me is worth it at that time. I don't think it's just necessarily, black and white.
How many guys do you got to have to do that move? I mean, where's Saquon Barkley? If we were making rankings, if you were doing redraft for next season, where's Saquon Barkley?
I don't know. I haven't gone through my redraft rankings.
It's gonna be super high. You know what I mean? Like, I think personally, if you're competing now, you might be getting a little too cute. Like, you got to just win the league when you have the chance to win the league. That's the way I play.
Yeah,
Saquon was RB6, right? Or
this year, yeah.
I get what you're saying, because if I was like the top team in the league, I would not have traded Christian McCaffrey straight up for Breece Hall this year. Even though if I was a middle to lower team, I probably would make that trade. But if I was the number one team in my league going into this season, expecting to win, I was killing it. I'm not trading away a piece that's going to help me kill it this year for a piece that might, but I expect to be good long term.
And it all depends how you play too. Like JL, it sounds like you're willing to try and straddle that middle ground to win multiple years instead of just winning one, right? Whereas I'm willing to trade. I'm always the guy buying all the old players. I don't care. I just want to put my name on the trophy. I put my name on the trophy, and then I'll figure out next year, and then I'll figure out the year after that year. If I have no shot at winning this year, then I'll play for the future. Otherwise, I'm playing for this year. I play to win. We don't know what the future holds. I'm trying to get my name in writing and get paid. Some of my leagues got buy-ins like $200, $250. I don't got enough. I'm not trying to spend $200 on a team that I know isn't going to win. That's called charity.
That's true. Luckily, it's a game of probabilities, and probabilities have different outcomes, right? So nothing's guaranteed in this game. What you're trying to do is maximize your probability of success. So it makes sense.
Damon here had a really important follow-up, said, what if I really like Dijon Mustard?
That is a good follow-up.
Depends how good of a pun you can come up with for Bijan as your team name.
Don't go for the low-hanging fruit. It can't just be Bijan, like Honey Bijan.
What about Bijan Bijoff?
That's pretty good.
Now you're talking, dude.
I like that one. Beej in the trap.
Beej in the trap. Beej on the trap.
Beej B. John Wilkes Booth.
John Wilkes Booth. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to be John Wilkes Booth. Maybe you pick a better John to be.
Be John Burrow.
Be John Burrow, dude. Johnny Burrow, one of producer Keith's favorite players. And the best part is that of that question is the first clue was his dad played cornerback. So I looked at the clue and I was like, oh, he put his dad's name in here by accident. His dad was John and he's Joe. No, his dad's name was Jim. John, there was no John Burrow.
Close.
Dude.
John, Joe, Jim, Jake.
Still
Jeff?
wrong.
Maybe he's
George.
got an uncle. Maybe Joe Burrow has an uncle Jim.
I got the Bijan name, guys. Honky tonk, bajonky donk.
I like that.
How about this one? It's on once again. Bijan once again.
This show is now just coming up with team names. You guys give us a name, we'll come up with some team names for you.
What about, in Space Jam when Charles Barkley loses his powers and he goes to play basketball with that crew of kids at the park, and that girl turns to him and blocks his shot, and then she's like, Bijan wanna be? Bijan.
Every time.
Is that too much of a stretch?
maybe a little bit, but for a fantasy team name, I'm not sure anything's really a stretch. Scott Fishing here saying it was reported the 3 finalists for Offensive Player of the Year are Mahomes, Hurts, and Jefferson. Who you got? I assume one will win MVP and the other 2 fight for Offensive Player of the Year. I think you're right, Scott, and I think Mahomes is probably winning the MVP this year. It seems like betting odds favorite to be the MVP. So it'd probably be between Hurts and Jefferson for me. And although Jefferson had an unbelievable year, I'm going to give it to the quarterback, even though he was injured, and say that I think Hurts wins Offensive Player of the Year. You agree, JL?
I'm with you. Yep. I think it's Hurts.
They're setting up for the greatest cop-out of all time, right? There's a big argument on, this guy, he should be MVP even though he got hurt because they proved it that, with the backup quarterback, they lost with Gardner Minshew, so it should be Hurts. They're just going to give one MVP, the other one Offensive Player of the Year, and everyone's going to have to shut up. That's so lame. That's such a stupid award. Offensive Player of the Year is just whatever the second best quarterback is. Get out of my face with that. Trent Williams should be the Offensive Player of the Year. How about that?
Tell us how you really feel, Coop.
I think that's a great decision. A lot of good players, and they all deserve to win.
Well, we're going to give Trent Williams a Hog of the Year award at the end of this.
We should do the Hogs of the Year. Give the real award. The linemen need a real award.
Let's get like some disgusting pig trophy where it's like a hyper realistic pig face. Like it's just like a really vile pig trophy, and send that to NFL players that we give the Hog of the Year award.
Knowing how offensive linemen operate, they would love that.
That's what I'm saying. I think
like,
it'd be
hell
awesome.
Yeah.
Just like most trophies are beautiful, and you just get this like nasty pig face.
Creed Humphrey would be like, hell yeah, I'm the Hog of the Year.
Oh yeah.
Hoggy.
Getting hogged up.
Well, on February 9th, the winner will be announced.
We really should do that. I think Trent Williams is my pick, man.
Why don't you marry him?
I think I will, dude. Me and him in hog heaven. I'll ask Kate if she's on board with us also being married to Trent Williams.
And I'll ask her as well.
Ask her. Yeah.
But she goes by Leanne whenever I talk.
She goes by Leanne when you guys are hanging out. Yeah. I mean, I wondered that's where she goes during the day.
And it says Scott Fish also coming in here saying AP Coach of the Year finalists. We got Brian Dable, Giants head coach, 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan, Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni, Bills head coach Sean McDermott, and Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson. And the final 3 look like they are Brian Dable, Kyle Shanahan, and Doug Peterson. Kyle, what are you doing in there with those 2 guys? Kyle.
If anything, I don't think Shanahan should win that award. I think John Lynch should win maybe GM of the Year for putting together that roster, grabbing Christian McCaffrey, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Although
between Dable and Peterson, who do you guys think should win AP Coach of the Year?
I think it should be.
It's close between those 2 guys, right?
I think I like Peterson too. Yeah, I agree with JL.
I feel like didn't Jaguars had what pick were they in the draft this past year?
45.
45.
No, they were like won. They won, and they took Trayvon Walker first overall.
Right, they were 1. So I feel like if you just use standings from last year to this year, you can make a pretty good argument.
Yeah,
for Peterson,
especially with the when you do the side by side, the juxtaposition of Doug Peterson and Urban Meyer.
That's what I was going to say. Is I do think the Giants roster is significantly worse than the Jaguars roster. Like, I think the Jaguars have a much better team.
They got
But
Gettleman.
it was coming from Urban Meyer. It was coming from Urban Meyer to Doug Peterson. So it may not realize how decent of a team they even had last year on paper. It wasn't a horrible roster they had last year.
The Giants, their roster is like remarkably similar to what they had.
It's like exactly the same. So I think I lean Brian Dable.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where like now that those other guys are eliminated, like you can't give it to Sean McDermott, dude. Like what did he do?
And it looks like Sirianni, Shanny, and Sean McDermott are not in the running.
Yeah, I think either way, it's kind of like a no wrong answers thing. Dan Campbell should have been within that group, though. That's my only opinion. Like if you're going to narrow it down to 5,
not even mentioned. You're going to put Kyle Shanahan in there, but not Dan Campbell.
He should be mentioned, dude. He should be mentioned.
I'm with you guys.
Sirianni deserves to be up there too. I'm glad he's being mentioned. He's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Eagles GM. We're talking GM of the year, Eagles GM.
Dude, so their GM has been the same GM. Like he is one of the most controversial, or he was the GM, Howie Roseman, but they kept him on as like now he's like executive vice president. I don't even know, but that dude has like he goes back and forth on people loving him versus hating him. The Howie Roseman character. He's an interesting guy.
I mean, as all the moves they made this past off season, incredible. Set the Eagles up for success this year. Other teams should be taking notes.
Yeah. AJ Brown trade. That's the kind of trade that you are either the king or you are a pauper, man. Like that could have been bad. If those trades go bad, they sink your team. Now you got a player that's not doing much and you lose your pick. So that takes some balls to make that move.
But good news. AJ Brown is incredible.
Yeah, good news.
Good at football. GMs take notes when trading for players. Trade for the good ones, like AJ Brown, DeAndre Hopkins. It generally works out pretty well. Don't trade for the bad ones. That doesn't work out so well.
Brock Osweiler.
He was drafted by the Broncos and then traded to the Texans, right?
And then the Texans had to take one of their picks and give that pick away with Brock Osweiler to the Browns just to get out of that contract. That's how bad that ended up being.
Man, as a Browns fan, I forget all the people that started games for us at some point during my life. Like people mention names. I'm like, oh, yeah, they played for the Browns. Yeah, they played for the Browns.
Tim Couch.
You always remember Mr. Couch. He's near the top of the list.
Couch, sure.
He's near the top of the list. Guys, that is going to be it for us today. Thank you so much to everybody who came and hang out with us on this Wednesday morning. We're going to be back tomorrow morning, the next day, and every morning, Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time for more Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show fun. Coming up next after this, though, you've got Moose and Keith, followed by Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru, and then Corey Nando and friends right after that to answer all of your hardest fantasy football questions. That's going to be it for us today, though, guys. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Whoop, whoop.